streaming. Attic, could you give me a confirmation when you get a chance? Right now, OBS is doing what it's doing.
I don't see it yet.
All right, let me know when y'all see it. And then I will go.
And we are live. There we go.
Yeah, my man. All right. And we are live.
What the hell?
That wasn't part of the live. Welcome to the Iron Lords Podcast and the Lords of Gaming.net, episode number 146. And it's another glorious Sunday. We're back at the round table on the Lord's Day. I'm extremely excited about our special guest, and we've got Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, PlayStation 5 pricing issues, Geoff Keighley skipping E3, and PhilSpencer's most recent interview to discuss, so we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a Lord whom the ILP was extremely honored to meet in the flesh with fellow Kotaku colleague, Lord Steven Totelo, and Destiny community manager, Lord Deej. This Lord not only represents the very pinnacle of video game journalism, but is also a beacon of light in regards to investigative reporting, and of course, our shared passion of the Destiny franchise. Introducing the author of the national bestseller, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, co-host of the Split Screen podcast, and news editor of Kotaku.com. One of the most informative journalists in the game, yet still the most hardcore Jets fan you will ever know. Live from the Empire State, our very own New York City, and kind enough to make his debut into the realm of the Lords, my man, Lord Jason Schrier. How you doing, sir?
Hey guys, thank you guys so much for having me. I gotta say, I gotta confess that I haven't played Destiny in like
Good man.
Oh, don't encourage him. Don't
applaud that.
Don't applaud Saul. Don't applaud
It's so
Saul.
funny. This past year was like the year that I just like lost. Lost interest in Destiny when it started getting super grindy to appeal to hardcore fans. And I thought I was a hardcore fan, but not hardcore enough for what Destiny has turned into. So
man, we're gonna talk about it. I gotta ask you another question about that. We're definitely gonna get into it, man. Absolute pleasure to have you in the realm. You are Lord at what you do, so it's only right we show you the proper respect. Really quickly, because I know time is limited. I just want to know, what have you been playing lately?
So I've been playing this game, just started. So two games I want to talk about. First of all, I've been playing this game called Enter the Gungeon, which is an old roguelike shooter game. Awesome, like super addictive. I didn't think I would like it, but I dove into it because I'm working on this second book right now, and for research purposes, I need to play this game. And there's a little hint for you for the book, but really good. And then I'm playing this other game on Switch that I've been playing before bed. It's called Aviary Attorney.
Okay.
It is about bird lawyers. You play as this bird, this sparrow, who is like, it's like Phoenix, right, with birds. So you play as the sparrow who has to go around 1840s France. It's an indie game. It's not made by Nintendo or anything. It's like made by a couple of people. And you go around 1840s France and solve murders and like defend in court. It's like Phoenix. It's basically Phoenix Wright gameplay except with birds, and it's very delightful. I enjoy it.
No doubt, we'll be on the lookout for that, as well as the new publication we know will be coming. So you already know we got the Four Horsemen of Gaming. The original...
Sorry, apologies. 1 second. The chat is saying that Jason's mic is a little.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, Jason, if there's any way you can turn
I can turn it up.
Yeah, that
Better?
would be greatly appreciated. Yes.
No problem.
Oh, my man, much appreciated.
Just let me know if you need me to tweak anything else.
Yeah, no doubt. You're good. So, of course, we still got the original Four Horsemen of Gaming. Those original Lords of the Realm at the round table. My co-host with the co-most. My brother from another mother. The difficult game conqueror. Lord of reviews and the how of the young wolf. My man, Lord Attic. How you doing, sir?
I've officially awoken. I'm awake now. So, I've been playing. Got to talk a couple seconds. King, how you liking Bleeding Edge? Because that's what I've been playing.
Man, you know how it is. First of all,
I don't know how it is. This is why I'm asking you.
Shout out to the 19,000 people that was following that tweet that I put out yesterday. It is so much fun. I'm limited to these 3 days, and I'm trying to learn all these characters. So I stuck with one character that I love. You know what's crazy? Didn't even get her name. It's the little one that can put out the teddy bears. She has the Gatling gun. Yeah. I think that is gonna probably be my mainstay character right now, but I like what they did and how big the arena is. See, I wasn't able to get that from E3, but I'll go into that later. Go ahead. Sorry, Rob.
No, go ahead.
But what I did notice, King, is I guess Game Pass makes you break your I won't participate in a beta rule.
Let me tell you something. I don't care, sir. Shout out to Nina Christensen. Out of respect for her, I definitely went 100% into that beta, and it's a game that I've been anticipating for so long. So yeah, that rule is definitely gonna be bent, broken, destroyed, and thrown in the bushes. I don't care. and if you feel this is good for you, here you go, brother.
Oh my God!
I put the fraud light on myself because your team is definitely bending his no beta rule.
Let's get some frauds in the chat.
Anyway, moving along because time is limited, and of course we have our most technical gaming lord, the solo gamer who lives for the single player selfish experience, and also the Sostradamus, Mr. Offline Profile Illuminati and Lord Patreon of the Iron Bank, my man, Lord Sovereign. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. What's going on, fellas? Doing very, very good.
Did we have any MMA yesterday on Sovereign? No.
We did. Was it yesterday? I saw Blazkowicz blasted somebody out of
yeah, that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy, and he went right for John, so that's good. I mean, John needs different people to fight. Otherwise, he's gonna need to move up because there's nobody to fight. He's cleaned up.
Well, John is going to be fighting in Madison Square Garden next year. That coincides with his trajectory. So
precisely.
As a heavyweight. Yeah.
So whomever's left in that division, might as well try to get their shot in as soon as possible.
No doubt. No doubt. Anything else been going on? Just that?
Yeah, man. Just plugging away at Fallen Order. I downloaded the new DLC for Dead Cells, the Bad Seed, but I haven't had a chance to play it, so I definitely want to get into that. And then what else? So yesterday I went to see the cinematic tour de force, the Citizen Kane of video game.
Oh, okay.
It was actually pretty good. I took little man to see it. He enjoyed it. It was actually a decent family/kid movie. It was pretty well done.
I heard it was amazing from
post-credit scenes and everything. Yeah, it was
that's what's up,
man. Those kids loved them some Sonic. That's what I have to say.
Fair. I'm definitely going to take my son on Monday. Me and him going to get a chance to watch that, because I'm a Sonic dude. So
fair enough. And of course, we have the Incredible Hulk of this, aka the XS Gamer.
Ooh.
The Lord of Combat Sports, king of the statues, who demands nothing less than that premium experience and is the leader of the Fraud Alert movement.
Ooh.
Beloved Lord King, how you doing, sir?
Oh boy, Jason Schrier.
He's in the realm.
Yo, Jason, you know what blew my mind right now? First of all, when I was doing my little research on you, I said, as long as a lot of his stuff aligned with my stuff, I'm cool with that. But then he said you're a Jets fan. See, shout out to Cognito for going a little bit deeper, finding out something I could not find out. I'm a Jets fan too, and I'm bleeding green all over the floor, man.
Lord.
Man, we can just spend the next hour talking about
y'all two
needs to go. All the moves they need to make, how they need to get some offensive linemen. We can just go on.
Yes, sir.
No. Quickly,
but,
sir.
This weekend, I saw Ryan Garcia get another first-round knockout. It was amazing.
I did see
Friday.
That.
It was a beautiful knockout. A couple of seconds, boom, he's dead. It was immaculate. What I've been playing, y'all know I've been playing that Bleeding Edge.
Ooh, we saw the promo on Twitter.
It was out of control. I felt it. I just put it out there, and it is what it is. Definitely playing Youngblood that's inside Game Pass right now. I was playing my Destiny, this Crimson
Days
Festival, Days Festival. I was listening to the last word, so
thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
I got acclimated to what was going on through their influence. They've been training me up here. But I feel what Jason is saying. I started waning off of it a little bit, and the grind is back to that old school Destiny grind. It feels like you're back in college again. You got your notepad and with your people, and you're making sure that you get this grind, and then it's back to that daily feel. So, Jason, I'm down. If you want to jump on Xbox, I'm there. So,
Man, so I just had a kid, and so I feel like my Destiny days. As
Oh,
soon as that happened, my
yeah.
Destiny days
Oh,
ended.
yeah.
Because I used to, like, back in the day, the first year of Destiny and the first couple of years, really, I would do raids. We would do my group. We would do blind raids. So like we would insist on like sitting there, not looking up any of the answers or anything. I mean,
Hardcore.
we'd sit there for hours, just like marathoning, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had in games. But I feel like that time in my life is just over now for various reasons.
We had a rule that was unspoken. We'll do a blind raid until our friendships are about to end.
Yes. Because that'll test your friendship. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll test it. People are not
For
doing
sure.
yeah, absolutely. So we keep it moving. And of course, we have the gaming ninja himself, the Shinobi. LordCognito, spreading that realness in the realm of the ILP. Not telling you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Not a lot of game playing this week. A lot of podcasting this week. I want to give a couple of shout outs real quick before we get started. I want to shout out to my brother, Lord Ebontis. We had a fantastic Last Word episode with Forbes' own Paul Tassi, man. It was really cool. We got a chance to kick it, talk about everything, the new looter shooters that's coming out in comparison to Destiny, Outriders, Division 2 news content with Warlords in New York, and Anthem potentially, with a reboot. And I know I'll ask Jason some questions about that later. But yeah, so that's that. That's number one. Number two, I want to give a shout out to my brother, my Seasoned Gaming brothers, Dan Rodriguez, Ainsley Bowden from Seasoned Gaming. Had a fantastic podcast with them. Please, that should be going up tomorrow. Oh, it's a ball, man. So please give those guys a shout out when it goes up. But we got all the business to take care of. We got Jason Schrier in the realm right now.
I want to give a shout out to you guys for an intro that was 11 minutes long.
Don't you love it? You see what you get?
That's nothing, Jason.
That's not. This is the condensed
Hour-long
version.
intros.
Love it.
This is the condensed version. So now that we've gotten to what the Lords have been playing, I want to start off with Lord Jason Schrier, his video game system history, his career and journey in journalism, and of course what led him to becoming the news editor for the amazing Kotaku.com. So Lord Jason, let's start from the very beginning. What were some of the first video game systems you had, and what got you into gaming?
Man.
Let's go.
This is a fun one. All right, so my parents actually had a NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, before I was even born, or like around the time I was born. I think I was born in the same year it came out, 1987. And so I grew up with that thing constant. So I was just thinking, because I just had a kid, and so we've been talking, my wife and I have been talking about like screen time, like when do we let her start watching things and playing games? And I was thinking back to my childhood, and like I don't think the concept even existed of like limited screen time back then, because they didn't know any better. Nobody knew. So like my parents just stuck me in front of the Nintendo for just like however, like as long as I wanted. And I think they limited it more when I got older, like middle school, so like elementary school, middle school, stuff like that. But like when I was like 2, 3, 4, I was like sitting there just playing through these games. And what I would do on the NES, I played through so many games on NES, but I had a very specific way of playing, because I'm sure some of you guys played those games back in the day. They were super hard because it was like a carryover from the arcade days where they would inflate all the difficulty to get you to keep paying those quarters, right? So I would sit there with the NES and I would play like the same sections of games over and over again because I couldn't get any further. So I would do like the first like world of Super Mario Brothers 3. Like I knew the entire first map like inside and out.
Yeah.
But then I would get to a point where I like couldn't play anymore because I'm like 4 years old and I'm like struggling to get past certain things. Or like Final Fantasy, the first Final Fantasy was one of my like favorite games at the time. I would get up to the Marsh Cave, which is like one of the first dungeons you get to, and then it was so hard to make any more progress from there that I like never got much further than that.
That's still impressive.
How old were you playing Final Fantasy?
4 years old.
That's 4 years
Like
old.
4 or 5, yeah, like something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I like brute forced my way through. Like I figured it out, like just how to get, but I could only take it to a certain point. So like after you get to a certain point, you're just like, you know what? I'm 5 years old. I can't do much more.
Letting yourself off the hook like
That's
that,
what's
yeah.
up, man. Shout out to
Then-
Luke. Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Well, so I was gonna say the Super Nintendo is really like my bread and butter. Like that's the system that I really fell in love with. Because the NES, like I said, it was hard. Like the blowing on cartridges. Half the time it wouldn't work.
Shout out to the blown on cartridges to get those to work.
Man.
Salute.
But the Super Nintendo was like, holy shit, like these games are amazing. I remember first discovering Final Fantasy 2, aka 4, as we know it now. And that just blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, like video games can have these stories that are like just as good good is stories that I read and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like obviously Zelda: Link to the Past blew my mind, and Super Mario World. I would just spend all this time like playing through all those little games. So yeah, and then from there just played as much as I could after that.
Nice.
I think I went PS1 because that was where Final Fantasy moved to, and I was
Yeah,
just like
of
such a big
course.
Final Fantasy fan that I had to move with it.
Of
I'm sure a
course.
lot of people were like that. I was like, nah, I'm not getting an N64. I'm going to where Final Fantasy is.
There you go.
We talked about that. We talked about that as a huge turning point in video games. I think that was like last week on at night, because you know me and Cognito talk at night, and I said that was when Sony was extra aggressive, and that showing them the financials on what they would spend making cartridges and paying Nintendo opposed to making the compact disc and paying them was a huge deciding factor. Plus the storage and the sound quality and everything going forward, the cinematics, everything was in line, and that was a real turning point in Sony's history.
Yeah, definitely. Real
quick, super chat.
It's relevant now. The Nintendo PlayStation is in the news because it's being sold.
Yeah,
I think the last I checked it was like 500 grand.
Yeah,
What?
absolutely.
Oh wow!
Shout out to
Get it, Attic. The super chat.
shout out to Nintendo that no, not that.
Oh,
I was gonna tell you. Shout out to Nintendo. I'm pretty sure at that time Final Fantasy was probably one of the biggest games that was out, and Nintendo was like, you can take that and go somewhere else. We don't care. We don't care. We don't want to go CD-ROM.
It was a deal at almost been. Shout out to real quick the Inseparate Ghost Lucas Lowe with the $2 super chat. He says, Jason Schrier, thank you for your work in gaming journalism. So they're giving it up right now in the realm for Lord Jason. So you had that. You went to PlayStation, which I missed, but I gotta backtrack you for a quick second. I didn't hear any Sega consoles. So I didn't hear any TurboGrafx. There was no love for the Genesis, no love for Dreamcast.
So my grandma had a Genesis at her house. So I played that occasionally, and then I had a Game Gear, so I love that thing too.
Okay.
So there was definitely some Sega love. Was never into Sonic. I still don't understand. I know the movie's good and all, but like I never understood the appeal of those games. Like I didn't think the games were ever any good. Like especially compared to Mario, where you're like just like enjoying every moment. Sonic, you're just like blurring through every stage.
You weren't a fan of the blast processing.
Yeah, it was like the best way to play Sonic is to not see the things that you're.
You know, Jason, that was exactly the thing. Sega was trying to figure out how can we defend ourselves against Nintendo, right? And this blast master processing became a little word, and how fast they can move it on the screen. I think once they found that out, and you know how Mario was plodding along, and Sonic is like, Meow! So that was the whole appeal to Sonic. I mean, I went past levels and I had to go back to see a level. I understand exactly what you're talking about.
No doubt.
Yeah. But I did like some other Sega games. I like Phantasy Star. I have this game called Landstalker that I love.
Yes, the isometric one with the elf.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that game.
But it does some cool things that like are not Zelda-ish. And fantastic music. A lot of those Sega games had really good music. So so I do have some love for Sega. And then I went PS1, and then PS2, and then Xbox 360 from there. So that was kind of my like path.
Transition.
Game console path.
You skip past the regular Xbox?
Yeah, I never had a regular Xbox.
He ain't went the big clunky one. He ain't went the big one.
Yeah, because I was never into shooters growing up. I only got into more. I was mostly into RPGs back in the day, and then like expanded more later on. So that's when I got a 360, I was like, oh hey, what's this GTA thing? And like played GTA 4 for the first time, and like and expanded more into other genres, and that was cool.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my gaming history.
Pretty extensive, man. Love it. Love what I
hear. And also I played a bunch of computer games like point and click adventures and stuff like that. So
that's what's up, man.
Lord Brat will love the fact that you did the computer thing. Shout out to Brat with the $20 super chat. Salute, Lords. Hi, Jason. Appreciate the work you do in journalism. They're loving you, man. They're loving you.
They love you out here, man. So after we got the gaming history in, so I want to get to actually now the journalistic side. Like let's discuss your passion as far as getting into journalism, and then what specifically led you to Kotaku. I know you were at other outlets and you did other things, but let's start that whole passion for journalism. How did that start?
Yeah, well, so it started. I always wanted to be a writer growing up, and then I discovered journalism in high school, and was on my high school paper as an editor. I would go to we would go to like these seminars at Columbia every year, which is super cool. We get to go to Columbia University. I was like, oh my god, my mind is blown.
Nice.
And then so I was always into journalism. And then after I graduated from college, I started doing some freelance stuff. And I always tell this story because it's pretty funny. I was writing for these like local websites and local papers and stuff like that. And I was in this like local government board meeting in Westchester where I grew up. I think it was in like Scarsdale or something like that.
I live in Westchester.
Shout out to Westchester in the building.
Yeah, well, so I was up there, and I'm sitting in this room full of like these old dudes who are like arguing over like zoning regulations, and they're like, can we build this fence 20 feet or 15 feet? And like this was literally an argument. Like I'm sitting there like pen and paper in hand, being like, this is what I have to write about. like a revelation there. I was like, I want to write about something more interesting than this. And so I thought, and I sat, I like did some research. I was like, you know what? Why don't I try? I love games. I had written like a couple of freelance, like not freelance, unpaid reviews for like a fan site back in the day, back in college. And so I was like, why don't I try doing this? And like, so I went and pitched myself and started like getting freelance deals, which was really awesome. And then I wound up applying for this gig at Wired under Chris Kohler, Kotaku, and Kohler hired me, and that was kind of my first big break. And then from there, I started doing work for them and like other freelance stuff, and then wound up getting an email from Steven Totillo in 2012. Shout out to Steven. Or in 2011. It was like the end of 2011. He sent me an email, and then we got a drink, and he was like, look, I'm going to be taking over Kotaku. I'd love for you to come aboard. And I was like, all right, I'm in. And I've been there for 8 years now.
Wow. Salute, man. Salute, man. Yeah. Tremendous work over there. Awesome that we got a chance to meet also Lord Steven Totillo as well. So that's a cool story coming around, getting into journalism.
Yeah, well, it's funny because when we ran into each other on the street, we had just run into Deej. Like, we weren't walking together. Yeah. And then you guys came up to us because you joined our random encounter. Right?
Yeah, it was like
everything that happens at E3. That's one of the things.
That's the beauty of E3.
Yeah, you gotta give a big shout out to downtown LA gridlock. And
you do be running into random people.
Yeah, and you know what's funny though, Attic, tell Jason, before we met them, we bumped into Pactor. Remember we had literally it was like Pactor.
Like it was maybe 20 seconds before we ran into you.
Yeah.
Pactor had a really, really large bottle of liquor.
Yes. The whiskey was on deck.
Drunk Pactor is like the type of thing that you.
Yeah.
Drunk Pactor.
Yo, that sounds like an NPC drunk Pactor. Yo, salute the Pac, man. We got to get him on. But that was dope. So yeah, we got the journalism aspect out the way and all that other stuff.
You got a $2 Super Jeff. Can't wait for Jason to leak some PS5 and Xbox Series X.
Brat with the $2. Cog, ask the question. I'm coming to the question. Anyway, moving on. So now we got the journalism aspect out the side. I want to actually, not completely out the side, but as far as your journey. But I want to focus on games journalism right now. I think this is what Brat is alluding to. Just the state of it, your opinion of it in 2020. We know that there's there's you guys around, and then I want to use a term that you coined, the YouTube Provocateur. So I want to talk about just the state of that, and then like basically, can these things both coexist? And just what's your feeling on the state of game journalism right now?
Yeah, well, of course they can coexist. They have been coexisting for years now, and people are still moving on, keeping on. And YouTube has some great stuff, I should say. It's there's certainly a lot of rage punditry and like headlines. Man, what's with the YouTube like thumbnail that's always like someone going like this? Like some flashy headline that is like PhilSpencer dead. That's the YouTube. That's my favorite.
Is that the provocateur talk, or is that what we doing, Jason?
Jason, you know they're gonna capitalize the DEAD in there. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's man, I was actually thinking about that because I saw a bunch of one of the reasons you mentioned Anthem before. Yes. One of the reasons that actually a couple of months ago we broke the news that Anthem was getting this renewal 2.0. One of the reasons we ran that story is because I kept seeing headlines and YouTube thumbnails that were like, Anthem is dead. Oh my God, Anthem is dead. And I wanted to be like, no, they're just being quiet while they work on this thing. Anyway, state of journalism, I mean,
Yes.
it is what it is. Like, I wish there was more money in it. I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest problem is that there isn't a ton of money in it. There are only so many like big gaming sites. They're like less than a dozen big gaming sites these days that actually like pay their writers and can keep people employed full time with benefits and stuff like that. I'm super lucky to be part of one of those sites. And yeah, I mean, it seems like people are thriving. It seems like some of these sites are able to make money. I mean, the media landscape in general is full of all sorts of bullshit. And anyone who's been following the saga of Deadspin knows about my own company's just like struggles. But in general, it's been cool to see. I mean, I think games journalism in general has come a long way since I started, and especially since like the 90s, 80s days. There's been so much more talk about like serious issues in the games industry and crunch and labor and
we'll get to that.
And, well, so it's been cool just to see even the fact that like so many more people are talking about this stuff these days as opposed to just like what's the latest screenshot of the next big game that's coming. And that stuff, I mean, that definitely has its place, and there's nothing wrong with like being excited and like generating hype and talking about games that are coming out, but like it's important to also talk about the labor side and the troubles of the games industry. And I'm really glad to see that journalism, games journalism, is like moving in that direction.
No doubt.
You
Real
know
quick,
what I think is funny when me and Cognito talk about something like, oh, you know, something that happened in a company, someone left. He's like, man, we'll probably never find out. And then me and Cognito, one of us always have almost at the exact same time. I guess we'll have to wait on.
We got to wait through Jason. We got to wait to Jason to blow that story up real quick.
No,
man.
I was telling Cognito the other day. I said, you know what? No, that Provocateur title. I think I fall in line with that. I said, you know what he's saying is definitely true. To be honest with you, I look at it as actors and hip hop artists, right? So you have these trained actors that go to Juilliard and do all this great stuff, and they learn their way up, and then you have these hip hop artists that come in and get a movie role. You, sir, are really technically not an actor if this is the case. So it would be a little name for them. But as far as Provocateur, yeah, because I can always fall back on if I put out an article. I don't put out articles, but if I say something, I can always just say, well, you know, I'm not a journalist. Don't take my word for gospel.
So basically, accountability.
Right, exactly. Right. And I feel like a journalist is held to a higher standard than a lot of these dudes that actually
let's get to it.
Let's get to out of their head. Because I'm one of those dudes that spool stuff out of his head.
Let's get to it.
Well, so I don't really think there's anything wrong with just like punditry or analysis or like giving your thoughts on stuff. I have nothing against that. It's more that like the accountability part that you mentioned is important. Like to use your comparison, it's like some of the YouTubers that I've seen and some of the videos I've seen specifically are like the equivalent of like if the hip hop singer on set like goes around and starts shoving out the other actors and like just like making
I'm that dude. Yeah, let's go.
Like destroys the entire production. But all that said, I mean, I think there is plenty of room, and in fact, I think it's really healthy to have like people who are just like giving their opinions to an audience, especially people who are reaching audiences that like a site like Kotaku might not reach. I feel like it's important to have like the punditry and the analysis and the criticism for everybody and the entertainment for everybody. Like I'm not against that at all. Just to be clear.
Yeah. No.
Fair enough.
I noticed. I said I agree with him all the way through. Like I was like, I don't even know why this is controversial.
Hold on, but we gonna get there right now. So hold on. Shout out to Gamer 482 on Super Chat. Morning Lords, here's to another great podcast. So let's get to the controversy real quick because that Brap has been asking and everyone's been asking. So in reference to, you know, there's a term that's going on right now, especially with a lot of gamers. It's the media bias term, right? And it's a hot topic. You know, when you know an article comes out and people feel, you know what, they're attacking this site has a reputation for attacking, you know, that's what they feel, a specific, you know, platform all the time, you know, damn it, they always attacking my Xbox, or damn it, the Switch gets no love, and, you know, so, like, I want to bring that out to you. Like, do you think, first, the magical question, do you think bias exists in gaming journalism? And then number two, you know, in you personally would obviously we see you on Twitter. We know how it goes down. Your block game is legendary. But I want to talk about just in general, like, how do you guys handle that? You know, when you have to deal with that aspect of gamers saying, you know, hey, you know, I don't like what you said about such and such.
So a couple things. First of all, to an earlier point, I think that I just saw Uncut Gems, and Kevin Garnett is incredible in that movie. So like sometimes an athlete or hip hop artist can come in and be like and just like kill it. So I just had that random thought. Side note. Okay, media bias. Media bias definitely exists in the sense that everybody, in the sense that hold on, hear me out.
Oh, you dropped a mega bomb. Brap is gonna lose his mind right now. Please repeat that.
Okay, wait. So now there's gonna be YouTube thumbnails.
I'm about to make a new YouTube thumbnail right now. Jason Schrier said.
in the sense, and it's gonna be like
is gonna be capitalized.
Yes.
The whole
I'm just waiting. I just want to see. I like to see the YouTube faces, like the faces of the YouTuber, and it's usually some like white dude in their 20s who's like some ridiculous face like that. Anyway, so wait a minute. So let me finish. Media bias exists in the sense that every single person like brings their own opinions and thoughts and analysis and ideas to anything they write. Like there's no such thing as objective journalism because it can exist. All that said, what you're talking about, console war bias, every single journalist I've talked to, myself included, thinks that's the most asinine thing in the world. And thinks that like the console wars are possibly the dumbest and most annoying thing about gamers. There's nothing more annoying to me than it's especially Xbox fans who go after me, but Sony fans also. Okay. Nintendo fans, I think, because I rave about the Switch so much, Nintendo fans don't bother me as much, but they used to back in the day. So with Sony fans, it was when I reported that Horizon Zero Dawn is coming to PC, the Sony fans like kept going after me, and that was a whole mess. The Xbox fans, anytime I criticize the Xbox for any reason, they all go after me. So it turns into this thing where like I think that they're all just dumb as shit because I think anyone who has brand loyalty to a console is just playing themselves. It's just you are a soldier for this bazillion dollar company that you are doing free brand like management for. You're just like helping them out.
They're paying people in house hundreds of thousands of dollars to do.
Exactly. Like you are just like a peon. You have no thought of your own. Like I just don't understand it. I cannot understand that at all. Just this idea of like fanboyism, and I mean I do understand tribalism because I'm a sports fan. Like I understand voting for your team, and I can see how that would transfer onto gaming. But like to create this world where you think journalists are biased against your favorite console because they gave Crackdown 3 a 5 out of 10, or they gave Days Gone a 6 out of 10, or whatever the fuck. Like existing in that world is not existing in reality. Like I can promise you that. Well, I guess I can't promise this, but as far as I can tell, and I've had a lot of interactions with a whole lot of journalists for every single gaming site. Many of them are my friends and colleagues, and I don't love all of them, but the people that, but everybody that I've talked to about this stuff, like thinks this is asinine. Like nobody has any interest in that. It's more when it comes to biases, it's more like, oh, I grew up playing this RPG, so I have a bias towards Final Fantasy. I've been talking about this. I'm super open about that. Yeah. When I review a Final Fantasy, I actually wrote a review of Final Fantasy 15 for Kotaku a few years ago, and if you read that, I actually wrote it in a way that makes it clear that I am like a huge Final Fantasy fan, and I think it's helpful to acknowledge that when I'm talking about that game. But like the console warfare thing, that is just like this imaginary battle in the heads of these people on Twitter who just have no lives, just spend all day just like
so out of curiosity, Jason, how many people on that block list?
On my block list, I have like
for fleet.
I was actually thinking about this the other day. Let me check. I'll bring it up for you right now. I have
because I know I've been seeing people going at you like crazy.
People, just to be clear, I only block people. Well, I block people for a few reasons. One, if they're like, I block the brands that like put ads in my Twitter feed. I block those all the time. I block people if they annoy me. If they are gamer gators, I definitely block them. If they tweet at me nasty things. If they annoy me, I'll block them. I have no. It's my fucking Twitter feed. It's my time. Like I'm not. Nobody is.
I always felt like when it comes to someone's personal social media, like that is your thing. Like you can do whatever. You can block everyone you see, and that's still your social media.
I just started blocking people. Do you feel like it's a confirmation bias type of thing? Like if you feel somebody's negative towards something, you start producing that type of energy. You start seeing that, and you only cue on to all the bad reviews and not all the good reviews. Because I believe as just as many bad reviews as something comes out, there's just as many good reviews. But the fact that you're just looking to cue on the bad reviews, I think that brings out the confirmation bias and things, opposed to when they say media bias. Because in this generation now, I think a lot of people felt that Microsoft wasn't given a fair shake. I believe you make your own destiny, right? So I believe the mistakes made in the prior administration, if you want to say it.
Shout out to the Dawn Metric.
Shout out to the dude who
Shout out to the
shall
Dawn.
not be named.
Shout out to the
Yeah,
Dawn.
you know, and then Xbox Only Begotten Son came in and had to fix stuff up. But,
Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer.
Yeah, shout out to Phil Dominus Maximus. But it's like these guys were so cued onto the negative, they weren't receiving the positive. And I don't think there's a media bias per se, but I believe that there's a confirmation bias when it goes into people's mind. It's like when you purchase a car and you start to see your car more. It's just you're confirming it and you're more aware of it. That's all I believe that is. I don't believe that there's an actual media bias. I believe that there's more of a confirmation bias.
Yeah, well, people love stories. They love narratives. And like the narrative this past generation has been like Microsoft flopping, failing, like Sony destroying them, arrogant Sony, and then Microsoft turning things around. So in that sense, I think what you see now is a lot of journalists being like, "Whoa, look how Microsoft has like recovered and turned things around, and look at all the cool things they're doing with Xbox Game Pass, which you guys were talking about earlier, which is amazing for anyone who plays games." And look at how they're positioned for all this cool stuff with next gen, like the way that they're approaching their hardware. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. And I think that people in general, like human beings, love really easy stories, and they love narratives. And that in itself, yeah, like you said, that helps create the confirmation bias, and that for sure contributes to like the way that people, it might feel like people are piling on. But that is the thing to do. Like someone isn't coming on, like a journalist isn't coming to work every day and be like, you know what, how can I shit on
how can we get him? How can we get him?
Language, sir. We got the little kids. This is Sunday.
Sunday's a Lord's Day.
How can I poop on
Thank you, sir.
So hold on,
we got super chats. Yo, we got super chats.
So we got a $2 super chat from Brat. Preach, Jason. No console war bias exists. Okay, we're going to go straight to the next one. The Sovereign Cognito. Whoa, ponies. Take heed to Lord Jason.
Lord. And then I got G Mark Lewis, $2 super chat. Gears of Ultimate Edition, too much A button. Okay, I don't know where that's going from.
I'll get Kid Smooth. We got $5 Kid Smooth. Jason, is there such thing as a controlled leak with embargo dates?
Question for Jason.
A controlled leak,
yes.
I guess they intend it, but they want it to look like a leak.
Not that I've never heard of anything.
Okay, Kid, there's your question.
There you go. Let me get Gene. That's my boy. That's lordsofgaming.net's own right here. We'll be at PAX. $10 super chat. Jason, thanks for coming on. Thoughts on the timeline for new consoles and the rumors of chip issues? Will your new book be a launch title? Just kidding. Jets. Jets.
That's
Okay.
right, baby. Woo! Jet love in there.
Man, what I keep wondering is how coronavirus is going to affect the consoles, because a lot of that stuff is manufactured in China. That is what concerns me, and I wonder what they're gonna have to do if that continues. Chip issues, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about chip manufacturing issues. Maybe there's some new rumor that I haven't. I've been the past 4 weeks, because I've been like marathoning on my book. I haven't paid super close attention to every single game story and stuff. But yeah, I haven't heard anything like that.
Yeah, we'll be going in on that today.
Yeah, we're going in there.
I think it'd be really tough if like coronavirus or something else forced either of them to get out of this fall. That would be
so just I do have a quick question. Like, let's say that the coronavirus forces one to leave the holiday, but not the other. You think that would be dramatically effective for the other?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Of course.
Shout out to Ryan Landis, $2 super chat. Jason, well, he said it like this is a whodunit. What really happened to Sean Layden?
like he knows where the
like he knows where the body's at.
Like
He's went Hopper somewhere.
I heard you paint houses.
Look, we got to move on, man. Jason got limited time, but that was a great segment. We had to get that in. The fans, that realm wanted that. So let's get to the main event, which is Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, man. And that is the outstanding piece of work that you did, a gem of investigative reporting. You're welcome.
I don't read much, but I read that.
Yeah, and how video games are made, especially like behind the scenes. You know, one aspect of game development, a lot of gamers, you know, we really don't have no clue about what's going on. I'll be the first to admit I was part of that. So it was really cool to see you kind of lift that veil, right? And show what was going on with development. A lot of our beloved games. You had Witcher 3, you had Destiny in there. You know what I'm saying? So many good games. So I want to ask about the creative process about that, creating that, as far as inspiring the book. And then what are some of the hardest aspects of that investigative report, like getting those scoops, getting these people to maybe anonymously talk to you, and like the risk involved, like break that whole process down.
Sure. One more thing. I just have this other random thought on the
Go for
bias
it.
question.
Yeah.
I actually think something that really affects bias more than anything else is like how crazy fans are going to react. And this is something that I hear about a lot from reviewers. And that is like, there used to be, and maybe there still is, this idea that like reviewers are bribed by big corporations, or, like PR, they're worried about PR people or whatever else. That doesn't happen. If it does happen, it's reported. If it does happen, someone send me a tip so I can write about this. That'd be an amazing story. But
we end up getting Jason some kind of scoop.
Yeah, right. Hit me up. What does happen is that people are worried about how readers will react, and I bet you that has led to people giving a little bit higher scores.
Jason, you sure you want to do this on IOP?
You talking about Death Stranding?
I am betting you. I am betting you. I mean, this is not on the reviewers. Like, this is not the fault of the reviewer. This is because they're fucking worried about death threats and crazy fans. And like, and I think that if anything, people will overcorrect because of like crazy Xbox fanboys going after them, or crazy Sony fanboys. There are plenty on both sides going after them. And like overcorrect by like not wanting to say something that they really feel, or not wanting to write something, or not wanting to score something that they really
I gotta
feel.
ask, I gotta follow. Hold on, I gotta ask this. So
Yeah,
this is you just dropped the ball. Now my question is, do you think this is more so in line with the rise of the Metacritic era? Because a lot of gamers now, that Metacritic is like the holy grail. That's the Bible. If their game is the 90-something Metacritic, oh Lord, my champion is better than your champion, right? So do you think this all kind of plays into, is it cyclical?
Yeah, I actually wrote a piece a few years ago about all the problems with Metacritic and all the ways that publishers like manipulate it, and all the ways that all the problems that have. It's worth reading. You should check it out on Kotaku. Just Google Kotaku Metacritic.
I got you. Wow, get at it.
So yeah, and I think that anything that like gamifies quality, like anything that tries to quantify the level of a game, the amount of fun in a game, or whatever else, is gonna be poisonous to discourse, and just like gonna make people like inflame people, enrage people more, because suddenly you enter this you combine that with the tribalism, and it's like, oh look, Sony had more top rated
There go the memes.
Oh, no, Xbox.
This is true.
Crackdown 3, whatever. Yeah. So that I think is just like, it's all contributing. It's all this just like giant stew of like toxic behavior and shittiness on the internet.
Let's get all these super chats.
Let me go ahead and
let's
I got it.
And then I'll answer your question.
Yes.
All right. Shout out to JD Gamer with the $10 super chat. Bias exists in everything, whether it's in a favorite sports team or brand name jeans. People are wired to categorize things and designate them good or bad, which leads to bias. Key is to admit that bias.
Shout out to Elemental PO, $5 super chat. Who will bend the knee when we all find out Sony rushed the launch of PS5? Oh my God. Who got clowns?
We got a $2 super chat from Clouds. Jason, what was your favorite point and click game?
Oh man, back in the day, Monkey Island.
Monkey Island, Escape from Monkey Island. Yes,
love Monkey Island.
Not missed.
Here's a really funny one. I got a $2 super chat from Bad Bit Gamers. Jason, blink twice if Sean Layton is at Amazon.
All right, shout out to Will My Hood, my guy.
Oh my God, Will me.
$99 super chat, $100 super chat. Morning Lords, and I have to agree, the gaming community can be extremely toxic.
No doubt. Shout out to Slow Mo Backslap Rap Podcast. Jason, how many credible sources do you need to hear the same info from before you go public with the info? Thanks for the work you do.
That's a good question. It depends. It depends on
who the sources are.
It depends what kind of sources they are. If it's like someone who has first-hand knowledge versus someone who has second-hand knowledge. It depends what position they're in. It depends what the info is. If it's something like humongous, I might want to wait for as many people as possible. So it really depends. There's no there's no cut and dry answer. But ideally, at least two.
Okay.
But beyond that, Jason, do you kind of, how do you determine what to sit on and what not to sit on? Like in terms of how you view the information that's coming out? Like, what's more important? What could you sort of let the, you know, whatever the publisher, whatever, talk about themselves? How do you sort of determine what you come out with and what you don't?
Yeah, this is something that I like wrestle with all the time still, because it's something I don't have a clear answer to. The answer is the actual answer is on a case by case basis. Like, I talk to my editor Steven and we figure it out. But like, I really don't know, because I give a lot of thought to, like, is this going to cause unnecessary pain to anybody? Is this going to harm people? Is this gonna like so many times I hear from game developers who like take this stuff seriously and like feel really shitty when their announcement is leaked for one reason or another. So I give that some consideration too. Oftentimes, I mean, the stories I prefer doing are stories that are like, you won't find out about this anyway, as opposed to this is going to be announced in a few months or a few weeks or whatever. But those stories are still important, just because it's important to get info out there. That's my job, is to report information. So it really depends. And like, I could talk a lot about this because I wrestle with this a lot, but I want to let you guys.
No, just real quick, because we got to get the topics going. We got to get them.
So your thing is, just real quickly, your thing is not to be first, just to be correct, and so your mind is clear when you put out your pieces.
Well, both first and correct is ideal.
Right.
Here, I'll tell you a funny story. When I first started Kotaku, it was like February 2012. I was listening to an Ubisoft earnings call, and you know how Yves Guillemot, the CEO of Ubisoft, has a very thick French accent?
Yes.
So he said something like, the new Assassin's Creed will be coming out on November 30th. It was said like that, right? And I was like, oh, 30th. And then it turned out to be 13th or something like that. Like, I mixed them up. And I said to my boss, I was like, oh my God, like, I just started, right? So like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, man, how do you like, how are you both quick and accurate? And he looks at me and he's like, you better be fucking both quick and accurate. Sorry. You better be both quick and, like, you have to be both fast and accurate, because that's the job. That's the job of a journalist. And it's hard, but that's why, like, I mean, that's why you get the public position and the status that you get. So yeah, to answer your question, I mean, both is really important.
I know, because I feel that as a journalist, you wrestle with stuff. So
all right, so we got to move.
What I'm talking about is like stuff that that'll be announced, like that I hear about, and like trying to weigh over whether I want to report it now. Usually I know it's accurate, but whether I want to report it now and like spoil the announcement and potentially like really make some people mad, make some people upset who work in games and like feel special about their game and don't want it revealed through a Kotaku leak. That's a sort of thing that I'm talking about, and that's something I think about all the time.
Well, you answered my second part in reference to the investigative aspect, so we got that part.
I wanted the first part,
the inspiration, BloodSweat, the inspiration. Like, what made you say, okay, I want to put these stories together for these games, these specific games?
Yeah, so it's a funny story. So in 2014, it all starts with Destiny. A lot of my career comes back to Destiny. Right? So 2014, Destiny comes out. We all play it. It's clearly a mess when it launched. It's clear, like, the story. It's even today, looking back at it, it's so funny how they did the story. Like the way that like characters just pop up and disappear. Clearly, it feels like this just like montage, like hodgepodge of like when you haven't gone to the grocery store in a while and you're like, what's in my fridge that I can mix together to like make some dinner tonight? And so you're like, all right, I got mustard and kale and I think some pork over here, and you're just like, all right, what can I do with all this? That's what Destiny story was like, and it did not taste good. So I was like, I kept asking, how did this happen? Like, something must have happened here, right? And so over time, I started finding out more and more. Wound up writing a story in the fall of 2015 that was about how Destiny's story was rebooted and all the stuff that happened behind the scenes to make Destiny. And after that, I got an email from this guy, Charlie, who is now my agent, who was like, hey, like, we could turn this into a book. And so we started talking. We put together this proposal that was like, what if it was a book, collection of stories like this? And so we shopped that around to book publishers, got a couple of bites, and wound up signing a deal in 2016. And then I went off and started doing all the reporting and like talking to people and getting the stories together.
So when it comes to stuff like writing that book and the stories, was it particularly hard to get that info from some of these publishers and developers?
Some of them. So what happened with the first book was I reached out to a bunch of different publishers, like for, because there's two different types of stories, right? There's the official story that's like PR sanctioned and like people are on the record and stuff, and then there's the unofficial story where you go around and you talk to people and you try to get them to talk to you, ideally using their name, but if necessary, anonymously. You could try to get them to talk to you and tell you the real story about what happened, right? So the book was a mix of both. Some of them were me going to like Naughty Dog and talking to the Uncharted 4 people, or like going to Obsidian and talking to the Pillars of Eternity people. And then some of the stories were me tracking on my own people who worked on Halo Wars or on Destiny, on Star Wars 1313, right? So it's like a good mix of that stuff. And there are actually some stories that I wanted to do but couldn't because the publishers said no, or like I didn't have access. The one that I really wanted to do and still would love to do is Madden, because from what I hear, the annual release cycle is super, super crazy, like crazy amounts of overtime, and like they essentially have like 9 months to make each game, because there's like a development cycle like right before you release and right after you release, right? So they can't actually do anything substantial with that, and so I find that super fascinating. But sadly, they didn't want to participate, and haven't been able to do that yet. Maybe one day, hopefully one day.
No doubt. Real quick, we got to get the
never gonna want to participate in that.
Got to get the super chat. Shout out JD Gamer, Jason. What do you think about Crack That? I don't think I have time for that, but you asked that. And Wilmy Hood, timestamp, $20 super chat. Timestamp this super chat. Jason does not deny the PlayStation 5 will be solar powered. Laugh out loud. All right, so we got.
I will not deny that.
Yes.
I will not. I do have one question before we move on. When it comes to, the publishers, we were talking about, the book and getting the info. From your personal experience, what would you say is the easiest, like, big publisher to work with?
Bethesda. He's beloved by Bethesda. They love his investigative reporting.
That's such a good question. I don't know, because all of them have like their quirks, right? So like Nintendo, for example, Nintendo is super good about sending us early copies of games, like really early, right? They'll send out games like sometimes 3-4 weeks in advance. But they're much more like tight-lipped when it comes to like getting interviews about things, or like wanting to go dive into things and like do special features on them and stuff like that. So everyone has kind of like their pros and cons when it comes to the way that they interact with people.
So AKA, like, you can review our stuff and give it publicity, but you ain't talking to none of us over here.
Right.
So we won't co-sign anything.
They're very much about like they want their interviews to be tied to current products, so they like don't want to do stuff on like older games or like other interesting profiles or stuff like that. They just want to be like, all right, time to sell the new Animal Crossing. We want to do interviews, that sort of thing. So I don't.
So we got your money already. So we just want you to buy the new stuff.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nintendo.
Japanese companies also are very different than Western companies in a lot of ways. Yeah, they have a lot of cultural reasons for like they're very quiet in a lot of ways and reserved and tight-lipped about a lot of things.
Okay. Real quick, we'll move over to the last two games in reference to that. Was obviously just want to ask, for me personally, the last thing was a Destiny question. Obviously, tremendous blowout information on that. Now, in this current Destiny world, with Bungie on their own, post Activision, and then we know they've lost High Moon Studios and Vicarious Visions that helped out. Do you think this pushes back Destiny 3, or do you think Destiny 3 is still on track with the current setup? And then I want to get into Anthem.
I think Destiny 2, I think they've actually made it clear that they see Destiny 2 as their future for at least the next few years. And I think they made that clear last year when they did their whole thing, like right before E3, when they did their big live stream, and Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy came out and they were like, this is going to be a consistent, like persistent, evolving world, blah, 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 whatever buzzwords they use. I think they're trying to keep Destiny 2 going for a long time. I think there is their plan. I know they're doing other games too. I don't even know how many. It's probably either 600 or 700 people at Bungie these days. Between Destiny 2's constant stream of updates and some of the other games they're working on, who knows if they even have the bandwidth for like making a totally new Destiny 3. So it's a tricky one. But I think at least for the next couple of years, I think Destiny 2 is going to be just like constantly cycled in and out with new stuff.
Gotcha.
That's
now,
what I believe,
Anthem question, because again, tremendous investigative reporting. I mean, you broke some stuff. Oh man,
not
you
just
blew
Twitter, YouTube,
Yeah.
Reddit.
I was doing the provocateur stuff, and you
Shout out to King Provocateur.
Yeah, because I was saying it was dead before it got here.
But I mean, I want to touch on that, Jason, man. I mean, you really killed it, and we had no idea what was going on behind the scenes. So I wanna ask you in reference to the Anthem. Obviously, we know the rumblings that it's, you know, they're trying to make a comeback. They're not going to abandon the game. But there's a point of contention about some of the stuff that not contention, but there's some questions we have, which is in reference to the difficulty of the Frostbite engine, right? The climate there as far as leadership and, you know, and your report saying that they would take so long just to make a decision. And then we're hearing things now from the lead writer like Drew Karpyshyn stating that it was so corporate and he's making so with all this information, like based on what you wrote and what you reported, you know, who do you blame more? Do you feel it's BioWare? The one that's currently exists, not the one that we know from back in the day. Do you think they would just misdirection, or was it Frostbite is so difficult and EA just threw this in their hand and they just should have just fought back, maybe pushed back, kind of like how Respawn with Vincent Pella is like, no, we're using Unreal. We're not doing that. So what's your thought process on this?
Well, I mean, I think that it's clear in the piece that I wrote last year that it's BioWare made this game and EA was not coming in and being like, you guys have to make a Destiny clone the way that a lot of people thought they were. It was more like BioWare saying, hey, this is what we want to do. And BioWare's leadership kind of unable to step up and fill the void that Casey Hudson left. He started, and then all sorts of problems that I mentioned there. Frostbite is certainly a huge problem for the BioWare people, and that would not be a problem without EA. But I also think that a lot of this is like, it's very difficult to kind of distinguish the two companies after a certain point, and it's very difficult to be like, well, this company is the problem and not this company. This company is full of great people, because so many people are just constantly moving in and out. And the way that EA operates is that like they'll have people from all of their studios working on all their different games, right? So like right now, there are people in EA Vancouver working on Anthem, on the new Anthem, and there are people in at BioWare working on like DICE stuff or like other, like they have people shuffling all over the place because they only have a certain number of engineers across the company, right? And so some of those people have to be like on call for different games based on what's needed.
Do you think that makes all of their employees more diverse if they're always working on different projects like that?
I don't know. I think it depends on the employee. It depends like what type of person you want to, you are, and if you like doing that sort of thing. But the point I'm making wider is that like the way that, I don't know if you guys have ever worked for a company that then got acquired by someone else or like got taken over by someone else. So you guys both know how it is. So like the way the corporate culture works is it's a very gradual, subtle thing. And like suddenly you'll go into the cafeteria and like the posters won't be on the wall anymore. Like, suddenly like this one person that you relied on in HR like no longer works there. Now you have to go to this person. So like that's the type of thing that happens when EA acquires a studio, and I think EA is very good at like being hands off, almost to a negative extent, because they wind up letting developers that they acquire just kind of do what they want to do. But also it's hard to deny and it's hard to get away from that like gravitational pull of like the corporate culture of the company that buys you. So yeah, I think that oftentimes like I said before, we like stories, we like narratives, easy narratives especially. So it's hard to kind of imagine, it's hard to even fathom the nuances that often go into this sort of thing. But it's a lot of that is important because people are what makes these games great, or the people. And like if you look at the credits for some of these games, you'll see that like, well, how much of BioWare is even still around these days? How much of that is like, what does BioWare even mean today? And I think that's some of the stuff that Drew Karpyshyn was alluding to in that blog. It's just the way that these things can change. But yeah, it's easy for us to like put all this power into a brand without like looking at the specific people involved.
Good point.
So yeah, long story short, Anthem is a mess because of a lot of different
So it's a combination of both. It's a combination of both.
See, that was the journalistic answer. The other answer I said was, I never knew they would fit anywhere in between Destiny and the Division. I just never thought there would be a middle ground that somebody would gravitate to, because it's like picking a school. It's you are already like tribalism. You are already in one camp. You are already in another camp. So you can't really split it three ways.
Well, if it would be interesting to see if it was good, and if it comes back and it's like Anthem 2.0 and it's actually really good, it'll be interesting to see if it fits.
Do you think they got a shot with Casey back? Just my last one, Anthem. Do you think they got a shot?
I think Casey's current role is studio head, so I don't think he has hands-on in the direction of the game.
That
I think
doesn't.
he's more of the corporate oversight type
Oh.
person, like liaisoning with EA and stuff like that.
Oh.
I do think they have a shot just because they have a lot of people in Austin who worked on Star Wars: The Old Republic, who are talented people who are now working on this thing, and who knows? I mean, there are a lot of different ways this could go, but I think Casey's involvement now is more from like an overall strategic point of view as opposed to directing the game.
So we do have a super chat that has a question for you. We got a $5 Club 901. I definitely butchered your name. I apologize. Jason, do you think the rumored first-party games from Sony going to PC is good for gaming? I think it is.
I think it's tremendous for gaming.
Yeah, they got mad at you.
My ideal world is like no consoles anymore because they're all just like open garden PCs where you can just play anything you want on them.
You just want anarchy.
Right? I do, because we've become accustomed to this closed garden ecosystem where like the consoles all have their exclusives and people only make games for specific consoles. And if you think about it, if you like really step back and think about it, that is so bad for the customer as opposed to a world where it was like imagine if you could only play your Sony Blu-rays on your Sony Blu-ray player. Imagine if you could only watch like Lionsgate films on the Lionsgate. It's so messed up the way that we've all just like that this has become a reality.
It's easy to say that Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer has got the thing right that he wants Xbox all over the place on anything.
Let's just get to it. Let's just get to it.
So I love that philosophy from him. I don't understand why they're still doing an Xbox Series X instead of an Xbox that runs Steam and is open garden and like lets you play anything. That's what I want to see.
Let's get to it, Jason, because you're literally transitioning to my next question. Shout out to the 204. Look, all right. So next generation consoles are on the rise, right? They're coming in 2020. We got two differing approaches, right? We got Microsoft. Obviously we had the Video Game Awards reveal, the Series X, the Hellblade. And as King jokingly calls him, Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer, Xbox only begotten son. Yes, Xbox only begotten son. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for saving my box.
It's very aggressive, and we know they're very aggressive with the philosophy of Game Pass versus Sony, who seems to be taking more of a measured, patient approach for PlayStation 5 and as far as the reveal. But we do know that they're doing exclusives to PS5 only, as opposed to the Microsoft philosophy, where for the first 2 years, that they're going to be kind of cross-generational throughout, kind of bit. So
I think Microsoft's philosophy is totally different. It's like more of like a phone thing, where it'll be like certain generations of like obsolete, like but go ahead. No, sorry.
No, literally that was it. And my question, so just what's your feeling on both approaches now coming into this gen? Like where are you at with both sides?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm very anti-exclusive in general. Like, I think everything should be on everything. So it would thrill me if, like, Sony made it so I could play The Last of Us 2 and whatever else comes on my PC. Like,
fanboys are not liking you right now. This is
like, go. Let me know who you are so I can block you on
Listen, that means I can't have my Anaconda logo on my Twitter. I can't have my...
Right. I don't want to see the Scorpio logo. The fucking like grater on PlayStation.
I can't tweet you about Tower of Power logo on PlayStation.
I can't tweet you and say hashtag greatness away.
Greatness away. I can't do that to you.
I want PC. I want open anarchists. I want only anarchists.
Yes.
Continue, sir.
Yeah, that's what I want. I think we are headed towards that way. I think Microsoft is really forward thinking in terms of like creating an ecosystem for Xbox and getting everyone on Xbox Game Pass, which is like such a good value right now that it's ridiculous. I think I tweeted this a couple of months ago when Bethesda announced their Fallout subscription thing for Fallout 76. I was like, for like less than this subscription, you could get Xbox Game Pass with The Outer Worlds and Fallout 4 and like Fallout New Vegas. I don't know if Fallout 4 but Fallout New Vegas definitely. So like why would anyone do that? But anyway, my point is that like offers a ton of value to anybody. I am a little worried that like we're gonna get to this world sort of like we're headed in TV where there are bazillion subscriptions and like suddenly everybody is we're hitting this confluence of too many and it's oversaturated. But I think that's the future that I would like to see, is what Xbox is doing, as opposed to Sony's old school, like, we're going to make games for PlayStation thing. But that said, with Horizon, as I reported a couple of weeks ago, going to PC, I think it'll be interesting to see if that's like a one-off thing that they do,
that's the question.
and then forget about it, or if they bring more games to PC. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring more games to PC after that. We shall see.
Okay, fair
Do
enough.
you believe that is the new philosophy with Jim Dan Smooth Ryan? Like, these are words, these are names. This is my provocateur stuff.
I like you holding this.
Being that he's in position, and being that it's a new, I believe it's a new Sony. I don't believe it's the same old Sony. They're doing some of the same old methods, but trying to do new methods. And if they do make money with Horizon Zero Dawn, and I think that opens the floodgates to bring over older games like God of War, games like Spider-Man. Let's get old money and turn it into new money, and then going forward, you might see a date and date. I don't know, but do you think date and date might happen if they are hugely successful in bringing these older IPs over?
Could be. I honestly have no idea. I have no idea what they're thinking. I have no idea what really what they're thinking right now. It seems pretty baffling. Like the fact that they've revealed the PlayStation 5 through two Wired articles. It's strange to me. So bizarre, like such a bizarre way of doing things, especially because people love the whole like stage show, like presentation. Like I remember, people freaked out at the PlayStation meeting in February of 2013 where they announced PS4. Like people love that shit. So I would think that they would want to recreate that success, but like who even knows what's going on with them these days? Clearly a lot of executive shuffling and shakeups and people moving around. Herman Hulst from Guerrilla Games just took over as the head of PlayStation Worldwide Studios, so that's definitely going to change some things and make some things. It'll lead to a lot of interesting changes, I'm sure, for them. But I have no idea.
The active users thing now, they're saying now they're pretty much mirroring what Xbox or PhilSpencer used to say, where they're saying Yoshida's saying that's the new metric that they're judging console, as opposed to, a lot of the fanboys saying, that console hardware is the de facto metric, and they're saying no. I mean, as a philosophy changer, do you also see things? I'm not going to call them what King calls them, but do you see them shifting on their philosophies?
Yeah, could be. I honestly have no idea. I don't know Jim Ryan at all, and I don't really know anything about the way that he thinks and the way that his strategy is going to unfold. But I am very curious, and I would like to see them do something that's like more of a focus on PlayStation Now and like getting more of the ecosystem rather than the platform. I think that's the smart approach. I think it's what people want. I don't think people want to be tied to consoles anymore. One tidbit I will share, one thing that I have heard about PS5, and this is kind of like mirrored in the Wired stuff, so it's not like a huge scoop because they've hinted at this sort of thing before, but I think one of the things they're going for is like right now you open up your PS4, like you turn on your PS4, and if you can find the tiny little power thing, like you spend an hour searching for the power button.
I'll do the same thing.
You turn on the PS4, and then you open up the game. It takes a couple minutes for the PS4 to load. You open up a game. It has to download a patch. It takes another 20 minutes. Then you load up the game. It takes forever to load. It takes another 10 minutes. By the time you got into the game, you're out of time, and like you have to go put your kid to sleep or something, right?
Yeah.
So I think what they're going for is cutting all that down and making their PS5 accessible to the extent that Netflix is accessible. And I think one of the things I've heard is that like in presentations to developers, they're like, think of like we want to do what Netflix does, where you can just like turn this on, like pick where you want to be at a certain point, like download only like you need. So if you just want to play multiplayer Call of Duty, you just download the multiplayer part as opposed to the single player
intelligent
part.
Delivery.
That's kind of like who knows how much of this will actually come to fruition. And one of the reasons I'm hesitant to share a lot of what I hear about like rumors of next gen consoles
things change.
A lot of it is like pie in the sky. Yeah. Well, like with the Xbox One, for example, this is a bit of a tangent, but
let's go.
Their producers used to go around with these flashcards that would be like cloud and like smart glass and like Azure, like all these other buzzwords, and they would be like, this is what we're going for, and Connect, and obviously all that changed drastically in the first year, right? So things change very, very quickly and very, very drastically. But anyway, with Sony, I think that's part of their whole big grand vision is like play games in as easy a form as possible, so that you're not tempted to just like say fuck it and switch to Netflix, which is so much easier to deal with, and also so they can reach more and more people who like would normally play games.
All right, last question. I know
That
it's
makes
tough.
kind of sense because that's a huge deterrent for me. That's why I turn it on and I
Yeah.
see all these updates I got to do, and I'm like, okay, game someplace else.
Last
Okay,
question because we're at the mark. So CrunchCulture, I know
Yep.
you're reporting on this. You have some very strong feelings about it. Obviously, the situation at Rockstar and things of that nature, and you shining a light a lot on these things. So, and I know how you feel about unions and things of that nature. So, I just want to say, like, why is it so important to you? And then the second thing is also, do you ever think, we'll ever get to a point of like maybe a games, union for these developers and stuff like that? And the flip side, which is sometimes an argument, which is a lot of people say, well, hey, no one's got a gun to your head and making you, developer A, you could just leave, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. So
That's like the comic where it's like someone, a peasant being like, society should be improved, and then like the guy pops up and is like no, you don't have to be like, man.
Oh, let's go, let's get it.
I'm like fucking working. My paraphrasing of this is bad, but go look up that comic for if you want to know what I'm talking about.
Let's
so
get it.
to answer, my wife is walking in, so I'm gonna shut off my camera.
That's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is live, by the way. Just
live.
So to answer your second question, I do think a union is going to happen.
Oh, wow.
I think it's a question of when, not if. Like we're getting to the point. The last stat I saw was some survey that was like 54% of survey developers want to unionize.
Wow.
So that is humongous, and I think that's just going to keep growing as more and more people like talk about it and get educated on like what a union can do. Because it's not really, it's having been through the ringer and like actually been part of a company that is unionized and like heard all the pros and cons. It's not exactly what I thought it was when I first started off. So I do think it's going to happen as more and more people get educated and talk about what a union can do for their companies and their like trades, right? So as for CrunchCulture and why I care about it, I actually think it's really important, and this is something I've tried to make clear. I think it's really important to not decouple crunch from a lot of the other issues in video game development, right? Because a lot of people work ridiculous hours. My wife is a lawyer. She works crazy hours, right? What kind of makes gaming stand out in a lot of ways is that it's not just crunch. It's also pretty low pay and volatility, which is what the book that I'm working on right now is about. It's about these constant layoffs that you see whenever a company is at the end of their production cycle. And then you always hear, like last year with Bobby Kotick being like, Activision Blizzard is in the best shape ever as 800 people are being laid off across the country. It's this wealth disparity. It's sexism and racism, which are like just as big as the video game in the video game industry as they are in the video game community. And like all these other problems, plenty of other things that I'm not bringing up right now. Stresses of like management and with Bioware, one of the things I heard from a lot of those people is that the stress that came up for them was not even the crunch as much as like the fact that like they knew that what they were working on might not be relevant or might not be good or like could be ripped apart and torn up. I've been writing about one of the chapters in my new book is actually about Irrational on BioShock Infinite, and that was a stressful project, not just because of crunch. Baby's crying.
Oh yeah. Salute to the little Jason.
She was upset when I talked about crunch. That was really difficult for people, not just because of crunch, but because Ken Levine, the creative director of BioShock Infinite, would be constantly rewriting and changing things and iterating and just like ripping things apart and throwing out people's hard work. And that made for a better game ultimately, or and at least that's what they saw as making for a better game, because it's a necessary part of the creative process. But like it also is extremely stressful, even if you are living this dream life of like I get to make video games for a living. It just winds up like all these stresses compound. So it's not just crunch is the point that I'm trying to make. Like we all work. I've been working like 16-hour days for the past few weeks trying to finish this book. We've all had to work long hours, but it's that combined with everything else that just makes things really terrible. And oftentimes people don't get paid for the crunch because they're on salary. So like that itself is like unfathomable, right?
Wow.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Like real quick, just to all the points you made about the underlying stuff that's going on in gaming, whether it be the gender bias, the crunch, and all that stuff. You've always talked about how proud you are of the work that you're doing at Kotaku. Do you think your work, particularly in the past 5 years where a lot of these things have surfaced, do you think it's really moved the needle in the industry? Do you see publishers and these companies taking notice of this and saying we have to be more transparent and we have to be better and be more transparent because this stuff is going to be surfaced? People are better educated about this stuff. Do you see the industry being positively responsive to this sort of stuff.
I hope so. It's certainly not just us. I mean, plenty of my colleagues across the board are doing important work all the time, and I would be remiss not to mention all the other awesome people at Kotaku, including my boss Steven. Who's
Salute to Kirk too. I like your boy Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk's awesome. Although he hasn't been at Kotaku in a little while.
Damn.
But yeah, Kirk is doing well. We're still podcasting together. He's still on the Kotaku podcast.
Yeah, I'm talking about split screen. I like your split screen.
So I hope so. I mean, I'm kind of like a skeptical person by nature. So anytime I hear that like a company is trying to do better, I'm looking into right now, like Rockstar, for example, like what they've been doing in recent months. And Dan Houser's gone now. They're their co-founder and one of the top people of the company. And I've been talking to people and trying to figure out the effects of that. So the answer is I hope so. And yeah, I mean, we are certainly not the only people who have been doing this. This has been talked about for a long time. There's been a lot of great work done over the years. And like even just the fact that people are talking about it more and more is fantastic. And like if I can contribute to any small part of that, that will make me very, very happy.
That's awesome. Well, we're glad you shined that light on it. I know you got to go, so I'm going to get you out of here. But first of all,
I could talk about the book I'm working on.
Oh yes, please. Yes, please.
A little bit, just because I haven't had a chance to talk about that much.
Yes, please.
So that has been shaping up. It actually went through its own kind of like reboot. Actually, I've over the course of writing this book, I've like run into all these problems that I write about all the time. I had to switch publishers. I had to reboot the book once a couple years ago. So my editor at HarperCollins on the first book, it was great. This fantastic guy, Eric Myers, who like really got it and loved games and stuff like that. It was a fantastic editor. He quit, so I wound up getting shuffled around, and that led to a whole lot of drama. But anyway, so the book it's actually about like volatility in the video game industry and what happens when game studios shut down. So I've been going around and talking to a lot of different people who have been through that sort of thing. And I haven't really talked about this publicly, so you guys are getting
exclusive IOP. Let's go, Jason Schrier. Let's go.
But yeah, it should be really interesting. I mean, and that I think, if anything, is like people talk about crunch a lot, and that's good. But if anything is like the biggest problem in games, it's that volatility, because so many people who work in games, you talk to anyone who's been in the games industry for more than 5 years, chances are very high that they have moved across the country or across the world because they were caught in a layoff and they had to go somewhere else, or their studio shut down and they had to go somewhere else. And it's just the same story over and over again. And so one of the things I've been doing is trying to explore that volatility, tell stories about that volatility, and trying to see if there are solutions to making things better, or at least alleviating those problems. Because there's nothing worse. Like, part of the whole problem is that like you're crunching, working all these hours, and then your game comes out, and then all the money goes to the people at the top, and then you get laid off the next day, right? Like that's the rhythm we keep seeing. That's the cycle that keeps happening. So that to me is really the biggest problem.
Wow, that's awful.
I feel like, man, you need to go to therapy after you develop a game. Like, that's crazy.
It's crazy, man. I mean, he's telling the truth, because we've had developers on, shout out to Two-Ton and a couple other people, developers have, people move their lives. They move their whole career for this belief in this game, and to hear the results, and then you're hearing about, certain CEOs getting a big bonus, and then at the same token, you're hearing, 800, 400 people got laid off. So this is huge. I'm glad you're attacking the subject. Cannot wait for you to pull that book out on volatility and just culture. I mean, even the Crytek stuff, it was reported as far as, people not getting paid, and, it's just crazy stuff. So last thing, because you got to go, we do this fun thing with all our guests, and I got to do it with you, which is I need Lord Jason Schrier's top 5 video games or franchises of all time.
Oh, man.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go, Jay. You're the spot, baby. You're the hot seat in the realm. Got him.
Well, so I can give you just 5 games off the top of my head, but like nobody can be like, oh my God, you're so inconsistent. Like you said these games another time, because I'm just making these up right now. So
it's fluid.
I can easily make a list of like my top 50 games of all time.
Okay.
So I'll just name 5 randomly, but like don't hold me to this as like Jason's favorite 5 games.
It's all good. It's all good.
All right, let's do this. You guys
ready?
Do
it. Let's do it.
Yes, we're ready. Let's go.
Number 1, I'm gonna go really recent with number 1.
Ooh.
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
The greatest games journalist ever, Lord Jason Schrier, my man,
God,
the GOAT Zelda, the GOAT Zelda.
Funny, Jesse,
Woo!
know what that is about.
Woo,
Like,
that's an internal lore thing.
Almost every guest we have named
Woo.
some type of Zelda game,
Woo.
and like
Knew he was
Lord
my man.
King likes the Skyward Sword, so every time he names that, I have to pretty much I have to calm him down. Every time they announce anything that's not Breath of the Wild or Skyward Sword, they have to calm me
Woo.
down. And as you can see, we have to calm him
That
down.
man's the
with
number
Breath
one
of the
journalist
Wild.
for a reason. That's why.
Set this man up for the whole week. Oh God.
Continue with that greatness. Continue.
Yeah. All right. Breath of the Wild. Number 2, Final Fantasy VI.
Yes.
Best Final Fantasy game.
Fire.
Number 3, Super Mario World.
Ooh.
Number 4, Suikoden 2.
Suikoden, the 108 stars. Let's go.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
our
man.
favorite back
That
in
was
the
our
day.
joint. Yes.
Hell yeah. That is one of the greatest. I'm a big fan of like stories in games, and
Yes.
Suikoden 2 is one of the best stories
Yeah.
in any video game.
Ooh. What else?
Plus,
Um,
the cast was incredible.
Yes. What else we got?
Number 5,
Number
man.
5.
I'm torn on like a few different options of this one,
So
man.
throw them out. Continue to fight.
Halo.
Yeah, I could go in so many different directions. I could go Last of Us. I could go Red Dead Redemption.
Oh,
One.
yeah. Don't do that. Just let's go.
Stop.
Just say Lazarus. Don't do that. Don't do that. Say
Stop
Lazarus.
it. Stop it. Let him
I
continue.
could go Destiny. I could go Destiny 1.
You know what? I think you on to something
Just in
with that
terms of,
Destiny.
well, just in terms of not in terms of like the greatness of the game, but just in terms of like its outsized impact on my life.
Yeah, facts.
So that might have to be in there, just like in the way that it has affected me.
No doubt.
But you know what? I'm actually gonna go in a different direction.
What
I'm
you
gonna
gonna
go with StarCraft 2.
Yeah, you go.
Oh.
Salute.
I thought he was gonna say Destiny.
He gave it an honorable mention. He gave it an honorable
Great
mention.
game. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Listen.
You
Destiny.
don't remember putting on a diaper and having a catheter? You know, because you couldn't believe you had to sit there. Come
Oh
on,
my God! Shout out to Slow Mo. He said Final Fantasy VI. That's what I thought. First of all, let's
But the
give.
thing about Destiny, it's like I don't know. It's like I love. I don't know. It's like a heroin addict being like, yeah, I love heroin. Like,
Yes,
come
yes.
on, like of course.
That's Destiny. That's the perfect analogy. Yo, first
Yeah,
of
of course I love heroin, but like I'm not, it's not like my top 5 drugs. It's just like it's just something I do. Like
Yo, Iron Lord
love it.
salute,
I love
Lord Jason Schrier in the realm. Absolute pleasure with his hour to hear him here with us. Hope
Thanks
to
for
have
having
you
me.
back sometime in the future. Where can the fine people find you? We know you got the new book coming. But what else you got
new
going
book is
on?
coming. You can check my Twitter is Jason Schrier, and if you look there, the pinned tweet has a link to the tiny letter, like it's a newsletter where I'm gonna be updating stuff about. I posted a couple updates, and I have more updates on there about the new book, especially when people can pre-order it, because pre-ordering is super helpful. Did you know that like the only way you can get on the bestseller list basically is if you have enough pre-orders to like justify it your first week?
Yeah.
Fun fact. So if you want to be a bestseller, if you want me to get another bestseller, I would appreciate it very much if you want to pre-order this book.
Well, you got
But I'll
4
let y'all
people here
know.
who definitely going to pre-order your book.
Thank you.
It's on Amazon.
No, not yet. You can't
He's
get
got
it.
the-
I'm gonna
Okay.
right now. You can just sign up to my mailing list where you can, I'll send updates, and then once it's available for pre-order, it doesn't even have a name yet. So if you got any name suggestions, hit me up.
No
But
doubt.
once it's on available for pre-order, I will be advertising nonstop. Yeah,
No
it will be
doubt.
called Provocateur.
Provocateur.
And you know,
I loved it.
It doesn't even end with his new book, man. His old book's really good too,
Yeah,
you guys.
please.
Like,
Yeah, check it out. Check out. what's
I
on
can't
Facebook.
begin to describe to you the detail that these stories have.
Yeah, man. And like I said,
I could never do it in a lifetime. You know, I could have some Red Bulls, some 5-hour thing, man. I could be up for weeks and I could never touch that.
Lord Jason, it was an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much for what you do, your investigative
Thank
reporting.
you for having me.
Just, it's just fantastic. Please enjoy your day. You're always welcome back in the run. We'd love to pick your brain more. And you have a good day, man. I know you got to run and get the little one and the wifey. So salute, Iron Lord, salute. Lord Jason Schrier.
All right, take
Much
it easy,
appreciated.
guys.
Take care, man.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one. Peace. So you already know, man, we got to get on with the show. Fantastic section by the Lord
Oh, that
of
was
Kotaku.
nice. That was nice.
Let me address something in the chat.
Yeah, what's
Look,
up?
we don't need this extra stuff I see in this chat. Like
There's extra?
people are being extra, like attacking people on personal levels.
Yeah, they
Can we
stop.
please come down on that just a little bit, man?
Yeah.
Like just
Listen, and,
do
and
that
here's
on
the
your
thing.
own
You know what
time.
it is? You know, let me tell you something. Addict saw that. I didn't see it because it's not in color. Let me tell you something.
Well, we missed some color.
if you want to go and attack them, you attack them in color.
Yeah.
You get that color, you attack them.
Okay, look, if you want to attack someone in color, as long as there ain't no cussing, we'll probably read it. But at the end of the day, I do kind of want the chat. I don't want people to be scared to say something because I don't want people to have that notion. If I say something, someone in the chat's going to attack me.
Right.
I want it to be civil in the chat to a point. Now, if you want to bicker at each other, that's fine, but don't get disrespectful.
Don't get disrespectful. Yeah, that's all the personal attacks. Real quick.
Keep it clean. It's
Let's
Sunday.
go through these super chats.
Yeah, please, Soft. Yeah.
Well, apologies for that, guys, but we needed it.
We had limited time, y'all, so we had to keep it moving. Okay, Soft.
Shout out to Elemental Pio with the $2 super chat. Why has Sony cut back on making more games? I just think they're more focused on AAA stuff, so it takes longer to make those games. Maybe they got more indie stuff coming up. Next thing, Lord Brat with the $2 super chat. Jason, preference PC or console? As someone who listens a lot to split screen, I think it's PC.
Yeah.
I think it's PC. It's 6669 with the $5 super chat. So you're saying that the Microsoft PS5 is going to try and catch up with current tech. XCloud, who did that for you? Switch to the pushes.
His cock. You guys got to throw me in there with his switch.
And he's using your emojis against you.
Dizzy, sorry we missed this one, Dizzy. $2 super chat. Thanks, Jason, for everything you do. Top notch. That was fantastic, man. We got to keep it pushing. But
he didn't have much time. I wanted to read them, but you guys, we had him for an hour. We already put him way over than he was supposed to.
We were squeezing it. He definitely stuck around as long as he possibly could. That was a really nice interview, especially because he's a Jet fan. Shout out to all you guys out there that like football. Jet fans are real fans. You understand?
Shout out to $2 super chat from Brett. I Dizzy attacked me over Frost.
Shout out Dizzy. Shout outs Dizzy, shout out Slow, shout out Brap. I tried to hook y'all up as best I could. Y'all saw that because I know you had the media bias. You know your boy did his try to do his journalism on too.
Just because it's you, Brap, we're got to be real. Everyone put fraud alerts in that chat for Brap. All right, I'm on Team Dizzy right now. Team Dizzy, let's go.
Let's throw Brap in the bushes.
That's the homie. We ain't doing that. Yo, Brap set it off. He had one of the best questions. He made me ask the immediate question. He knew I was gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't scared. We gonna do it.
We got a $2 super chat from Elemental Pio. Does Sony care about Dreams, aka Project Spark 2? Look, I like Project Spark, but Dreams is on a completely different level.
No doubt. Look, let's get into the show, y'all. We got a little bit of show left, so let's get the poll popping. Last week poll results are in, and the people have spoken to the question. With the recent statements by PhilSpencer that Xbox views Amazon and Google as their main competitors going forward, do you think this is a mistake by Microsoft to not include Sony and Nintendo as direct competitors? The winner of the Razer, it's not that Razer close if it was 73%, Jesus, but the vote was cloud infrastructure is the long-term play for the future. Phil is ahead of the curve with cloud. Coming in at second at only 18%. Damn. Xbox is being dominated by Sony and Nintendo. In the console space, they need to focus on exclusive content. And then last at only 8% is I don't care until Stadia and Amazon get some actual games I care about. So shout out to all those who participated. Lord Sov, what you feel about this, sir?
For sure.
For sure.
Even Sony basically don't care about what y'all talking about because they going into engagements. Jim Dance Move Ryan is sounding just like an Xbox right now, baby. Doing good, baby.
Shout out to Graphic God, loving the emojis. Can't wait till you see the animated ones. Yes, Graphic God, we know about that. Shout out to Brad $5 super chat. You can throw me in the bushes so long as it's the right bush. Puff, puff, puff. Oh, you out of here.
Wow.
Moving.
Brad, come on, Brad.
Moving along on Sunday in the Lord's Day. Lord King, you are up. Lot of PlayStation price.
Wait, are we going to address the
sorry. Breaking news. Lord Solve, my bad. Continue.
Right before the show went live, we got some news coming in that PlayStation has announced the closure of all of its official forums on a global scale, meaning all, all of their underlying forums have been around since the PlayStation 2 days, where people go for not necessarily tips about how to work with the system and things like that. People that go back and forth have been on these forums for years. They're shutting that down completely as of February 27th.
I mean, they might be
crazy. I understand they want to globally they probably want everything under a global PlayStation banner, right? Sort of unified. That's kind of what they've been doing. But to shut down the forums so abruptly and not necessarily tell you what the replacement is going to be, if any, is weird to me. Is weird.
So break it down, Sav. Like, educate me, because this happened literally right before we was going live. You the whatever. So what are these forums? This is just what are these forums about? I don't know what's going on. But educate me.
They were always in place for people like PlayStation owners or PlayStation fans to either. It was kind of like the mini Reddit of PlayStation.
Okay.
More like if you had issues with your console, like from a technical perspective, anybody who had knowledge of that stuff would be in there. There'd be forums about that. Specific game related stuff, whether it be technical issues or just talking about the game. All of these forums were kind of there for you, right? Same thing as, like I said, what Reddit does now, or Reset Era, or something like that. The thing about it is that they've always been under the PlayStation banner. PlayStation has supported them. They've had the servers open for them for years, since the beginning of the internet era, right? So PS2, OG Xbox. And they're just saying, we're shutting all of this down. And cool, got you. You don't want to support the services anymore. You know, if you're thinking forward thinking and you're saying, okay, we're going to focus on whatever on Twitter or whatever other social media platforms that are more forward facing now, then cool, we'll do that. They didn't say anything. They just said, we're shutting them down. This is the date, which is like 2 weeks away. And they didn't give a reason why or a potential replacement. Again, maybe they have some big thing to announce. They're about unifying the Sony platform, the PlayStation platform, and everything's going to be under one thing or whatever the case may be. But at least from the onset, they have not talked about it.
Let's deal with the facts.
Here we go.
I knew this was coming.
Let's deal with the facts. Don't deal with the hopefully they might, or I believe. No. Let's deal with what they did. They shut it down. Yo, Jim Dance Moves Ryan was playing his favorite movie, his favorite song. Shut him down, shut him down, shut him down, shut him down. And he shut you down. Now, what y'all gonna do now? I just want to know, like, what do y'all need? Like, what's going on? What's going on in your head? What do you really need to understand that things are changing? A change is gonna come. And Jim Dance Moves Ryan don't really care how you feel. There's a new Sony in town, baby. We don't care about the past. He just care about the future. He's going forward with his vision of Sony. And I truly believe I like his vision of Sony.
Oh my God. Anyway, I mean, the alternative could be like, it just could be one new unified chat, right? PlayStation
We're
5.
talking about, you said, what's the facts? I mean, just because we say
he's not wrong. The only facts right now is that they shut it down.
We know that they shut it down.
Let's deal with what we know.
Why can't we?
No,
let's not speculate now.
What they could be doing. We're gonna deal with what they did.
You stupid. Listen, man. Good.
I feel like when it comes to something like this, I feel like they shut them down, and probably in the next month they're gonna rebrand them to something else. I mean, it could be the other way around. You know, when you start shutting entire forums down, it's not good. There's a reason for that, but I don't think it's there. I don't think we're nowhere near like the room's on fire. I just think some of those forums have been open for 15 plus years. Yeah. They want to rebrand them. They want them looking better. They want to have a more of a center going toward here on forward. And clearly they're changing how things are going.
Well, let's see. I mean, it is definitely news to me. I didn't know about this until Saul. And Slow's asking again, what forums is this? He just wants to clarify again.
Everything.
All of them.
Everything. What did you lose?
The official
everything. You lost everything.
Savage. You having too much fun with this. Continue, Saul.
It is so hot that he just said,
you know what it reminds me of, King? It reminds me of that meme. It says, what did you lose? Everything.
That's what he literally said.
Yo, Jim Dance Moves Ryan got the gauntlet, and he said,
continue, Saul.
The official PlayStation community forum. So I don't know if that includes, because sometimes they'll drop an announcement in their the PlayStation feed forum. I don't even know specifically what it's called. So I don't even know if this encompasses that, right? Yeah. If that's the case, they still need a way to get information out to their fans. So I don't know.
They
You
don't,
know
care, they don't
what the-
care about their fans knowing. What they care about is we gonna tell you what it is. Because right now, what you got is a logo, baby. So what listen.
So I do have a.
Yeah, good, because they're only gonna get official information from when they get a new CES show. So next year in January.
Out of control. Yeah, out of
So
control.
I do got some stuff that first off, there's 194 people, and definitely hit that like button.
Yo, shout out to
subscribe to the channel for more
Yeah.
content. We here every week.
Shout out to
Every week.
hold on. Shout out to Lognet's own Lord Gene. He said they used the PlayStation blog for news polls. Shout out to Jonathan B with the $5 super chat. The forums are coming back, guys, with an Azure logo at the bottom. Oh my God.
So, one thing though, King. One thing that we could take from this, man, is let's get some into the bushes. Exactly what Sony just did with their
Anyway.
forums. They threw them in the bushes.
Y'all
They said
ridiculous.
y'all guys was gonna sign up for the forum because you was looking forward to that forum next week. Guess what happened? Damn.
They picked them up and they threw them straight in the bushes.
We will
man.
get more information as it comes in. And again, we're just putting this out now. We just heard it now. So, Lord King, you are up. You got the bushes all in the chat. Starting your provocateurness.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm here for. That provocateur.
Yo, you was on fire with that. I ain't gonna front with Jason. You was on fire with that. So what's going on?
The funny thing is, you knew Jason wanted that smoke. He was
Jason
like,
wanted to smoke too. It was funny.
You know what? I swear, because when I did the research behind it, right? Because a lot of times, I'm like, okay, I play.
Oh,
by
that
ear,
super
whatever.
chat. That super chat's for you, sir. You got to
What is
read
it?
that.
Sony. Wait, hold on.
Smitty Smith.
Sony Farms caught that. Ricky Costa.
Left hook.
Yo,
Oh man.
that left hook was beautiful. Thank you for referencing that. The way he did it, he put his hands up like this, so the guy thought he was gonna hit his gloves.
Mhm.
When he started to throw his hand, the left hook came out so quick, and he hit him. It was flawless. He hit him and just said,
Boop. Shout out to
Just
Elemental
like
PL. New and exciting ways to the bushes. Ridiculous.
"Yes,
Good. Let's go. What's going on with the PlayStation 5? The prices. What's going on with
All right,
these?
let's check it out, right? So I told y'all before that something was looking funny with their money, right?
Oh,
I was like, yo, they cash
They
flow
got
look a
funny
little
looking
bit
money. Is that
sick.
what's going on?
Yeah, so we put the spotlight on them, right? So we figured it out because all information is flying out of China right now because they gotta make sure that we know what's going on in China. Shout out to knowing what's going on in China right now because of the epidemic out there. Not shout out to the epidemic, shout out to what's going on in the light. Now it seems that Sony is having a little bit of a difficulty when it comes to paying for chips. Their pockets is coming up short.
That's not what was reported,
I know,
sir.
I'm gonna fix it up, but I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you.
You give it. All right, go ahead. Get your provocateur on.
I'm gonna give you the provocateur talk. And, try to fix that up with the journalism talk.
gotta leave it to us to fix
Your king is on fire right now.
Y'all,
Continue.
you're here for this. So they said, yo, that'll be $450 for those. You want that fixed up? It'd be $450 per box.
Yeah.
And Sony says, "Excuse me, kind sir, that's not what we agreed upon." But bruh, right now, these chipsets, what you trying to do and what you trying to get, it ain't gonna fit in that price range. But Microsoft is playing at a premium, sir. listen, man. If you don't got the $450 per box, I don't think we could work with you here. So Sony is potentially either gonna have to scale back or they're gonna have to pony up. Haha. And they're gonna have to pony up per box, and in essence, you are going to have to pony up. So, are they going to sell it at a loss? Or are they going to sell it close to price? How do you feel with the shortage and the price differences that's going on right now? Does that hurt Sony? Does that put them in a position where they're going to have a wait and see? Does that push them back a year? Does that push them back 6 months? To get it at a good price.
Fair enough. So let's get some cleanup going on here.
Let Kyle clean it.
Yeah. So yes,
I don't want to. We should all agree that he shouldn't clean nothing up. I agree with everything he's saying.
Yes,
right
we
now.
know you do, Attic. We know you do. But yeah. So based on what King is saying, yes, the manufacturing costs, yes, have been determined. Looks like it's going to be $450 per unit due to a scarcity of parts. Shout out to the Galaxy S20 out here stealing everybody's, what is it, NRAM, and you know what I'm saying?
The DRAM and the NAND.
The NAND, they out here NANDing and NRAMing and taking everybody's
crazy?
components.
You know what's crazy with that? Microsoft has a deal with them.
I knew you was going to do this. I knew you was going to do this.
Get your man out the door.
So are you saying Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer strategically made the deal with Samsung so that they could have a monopoly, they could conspire on these parts so that Sony wouldn't have to, they'd have to pay premium? Is that what we doing, King?
You know what it is? You know what? I just had an epiphany. I just had an epiphany when you said this. They were talking. They said, "Yo, what they got in their box?" You know, come on, man. Take a little couple of dollars to find out what's going on in their box. They're using that chipset. That's what they using. Let me call Samsung. Samsung, I heard y'all was using that chipset. Yeah, yo, ramp it up. Ramp it up. Let's get these out in March. Let's get all this all these chips and let's make it tight on their wallet. Would it hurt them? Yeah, it would. You know, let's sign a deal together.
The chat is stupid.
Your man.
So Phil strategically did this. This was a power move.
Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer, sir. I see your vision, brother. You are moving.
Yo, shout out to Don Lies. He said King is on to something. Jonathan B said NAND gate. All right, y'all out of control. Moving. Oh, look, Christopher Hart is pissed. He said Sony knows everything. We are speculating. So look, here's the deal. So we got that going on as far as the parts and stuff. So again, manufacturing looks like it's up to $450, and those internal, to Sony right now, they're kind of in this wait and see approach because they want to know, what they should do as far as either obviously again, this is $450 without the what is it, the manufacturing, this is just the base cost.
They're gonna give it to you with no box. They're gonna throw your PlayStation in the bag.
And not to mention, this is before they pay the retailers what they pay them to sell the product.
Right.
If they pay the retailers
so
to
now
ship the product.
Exactly. So at that point they wouldn't.
We're looking at like $556.
$5 possibly, right? But at that point, in comparison to when the PS4 launched, because it looks like manufacturing for them was about $381. So them launching at 4, they made a profit every console, right? So the question now becomes to what King is saying, is Sony, because now they're in this wait and see approach, with what Microsoft's going to do with the Xbox Series X, are they willing to take a loss with it? You know what I'm saying? And not get profit to kind of keep it at 400, even though they would be losing, a profit? Or do they come out at 5 with the risk that maybe Microsoft, the Series X, drops at 5? So let's give it to Attic. What do you think, man? Where you at with this whole thing?
I think that sucker's sitting at 600 right now, and I think that Sony wants to sell it at 600, but they don't know if Microsoft comes out at 600. I think they're going to launch theirs at 600, or maybe try to do like $50 less, which most companies don't try to do $50 less. It's harder to sell. Right. They like that $100 gap. But knowing how much, you're not taking into consideration a lot of different factors with that, manufacturing. Yeah. It's going to go up a little bit, and that's just to manufacture it. That's not profit.
Facts.
So they're going to want to add money on top of that so they can bring a little bread home. So it could be 5. They could drop it to 5, but if it costs what you said, $440. Just to make 450,
it? 450.
Just to make it. We ain't talking about anything else. They could easily take the L. I think what's going to happen right now is they want to see what Microsoft does. If Microsoft drops a $500 Series X, they're going to take the L. They're going to take the hit. They're going to drop to 500. Right now, I think both consoles
you think they coming out at 6?
I think both consoles right now are at 6, and they're trying to see who drops first to see if Microsoft drops.
But hold on, they said if the manufacturer is 450, they can still make a profit at 500.
Yeah,
I don't think they can.
Oh, okay.
I don't think.
If you put all the stuff it takes to put into this console, it's probably going to be 500 with all the shipping. You got to consider they still have to pay GameStop and then to sell this sucker. They still have to pay all the manufacturing plants to make it. I mean, it's.
But they're saying right now with the 450 unit cost and a similar gross margin,
manufacturing cost. Assuming that it includes all of those costs.
They're saying that the Bloomberg article is saying the PlayStation 5 retail price would have to at least be $470. So it looks like they could come in at 5 and still make profit.
The $499 to make a profit. They're scared and let's say Microsoft says, All right, you know what? Let's push the envelope because our pockets are deeper, right?
Right.
Let's push the envelope, and let's put this at 500, right? Let's say they're selling at a loss at 500.
Right.
Let's just
I
say
think it's going to be a loss at 500.
No,
Let's
that
say
I agree with you
agree.
on that. Yeah.
Let's say Microsoft is selling at a loss for 500. Let's say it costs like 515 to 520 to make.
Right.
each box,
That was my question.
So they sell it at 499. All right. Sony, even if they sell at 499, right? And they'll be making a profit per box. Microsoft will take a loss per box.
Right.
But then you're going to see the power disparity. And see, now this is the difference, right? But before, they were cheaper by $100.
I know where
and
you're
they
going,
were more powerful, right? Now, let's say the difference now is they're at the same price,
And
but
one's the
one
more
box
powerful?
is more powerful.
But see, I agree with you, okay? But this
So,
the
hold
thing. Let's
on.
get. I got some
Beats Games in Life says 450 does not include production and logistics. And, Associated said the parts are 450. They have to build it, ship it, and pay for retailers. 500 would be a tiny profit for them. I don't think 500 they're profiting from. I don't.
No, they said that in the Bloomberg article that they would make a profit once above 470. At least that's what the Bloomberg article said.
We got
Hold on, we got
Stitch
Stitch.
there,
Yeah, get Stitch.
Okay, I was going to say that Sony pockets got holes, but then I remember Sony got no pockets.
Who did that for you? The control. Jonathan B. I heard to save money, the PlayStation 5 doesn't come with a power cord or a power button. Greatness awakes. Yo, y'all petty.
You
Y'all.
might get a box with no controller. You might have to buy a controller day one.
Here's the thing that you're going on. King, and you're making a point again. If let's say Sony says, okay, we need to be profitable. Let's say that internally, because that's what's going on right now. It's an internal fight. Some people say wait and see. Some people are like, yo, we made profit last year on our best systems. We need to make profit again. So this is the battle. So everyone's saying, yo, calm down. Wait until Microsoft go. Then before we react, right? So let's just say Microsoft does what King says, right? And Microsoft says, hey, E3, it's 500, right?
Yeah.
And let's just say, hypothetically, the part of Sony in-house that says, yo, we need to make a profit because above the 470, right? And they say 500, right? To King's point, can they both be 500 with the Series X technically, from all rumors being said, as the 12 teraflops being the superior? Can they afford that dialogue? Part of me feels soft. They may have to come down to 4.
But that's the thing. I don't think they're waiting on Microsoft to see how they can undercut them. I think they're waiting on Microsoft for permission to do the same thing as them.
That's what I think.
If Microsoft, the guys who are in second place, are willing to sell their console at 5, their thinking is, okay, we can sell ours at 5, and our brand recognition
make a profit. Yeah.
And our brand recognition is going to carry us over.
Now
that's a risk.
This is what I say to that. This is the caveat, right?
Right.
This is where the problem comes in for Sony. Now, Microsoft has the secret weapon,
the Lockhart,
the untalked about Lockhart, the S.
And
right?
I think Microsoft's willing to take a loss on both to undercut.
Now, let's say the S comes in at 350, 400. It pigeonholes the Sony you can't say we're going to be the same price with less power. You can't say we're going to be the same price with you just have to worry about our games that's going to carry us through. When a box can tell you get in the boxes, I already know they're going to put Game Pass in every box.
Stealing my point.
Right? So they tell you all you need to go home and play 200 games is the purchase. Opposed to when you go purchase a PlayStation, when they start doing like let's say they do a chart comparison to for the layman dude, and they go, all right, when you get an Xbox Series X, you get 200 games because in every box there's Game Pass, and when you go purchase a PlayStation 5, you must purchase a game, you must purchase a controller, you must purchase this, you must purchase that, and then the out number comes over $600. That person looking at the chart is going to say, oh, financially, it makes more sense to go this way.
Right. I heard you say this is fun. Shout out to Shroom Kingdom.
Personally,
got it.
I feel like if Sony was wanting to launch the console at 500, I don't think they would be scared of Microsoft launching their platform at 500. I don't. They've been killing the entire industry this whole generation. They clearly have the world on their side. They have the better exclusives going into this. Sure, they don't have Game Pass, but they do got whatever they're
the global brand. They're the global brand.
I feel like the only reason that they would wait is if their console wasn't 500. It was more, and that's what they're going off of.
But this is good, man, because it's like I hear you're adding you.
So
on
you're saying that Xbox is dictating pace.
Yes, yes, because they came out and they did something Sony never saw coming. They say our stuff's right here at the VGA. Sony never saw that coming. PhilSpencer said they were saying a Game Pass ad. If it was like, and he said there's only like 4 people in the room. They were hiding that from Sony too, not just the consumers. They don't want no one knowing that Series X was coming out on the Video Game Awards. Because when you put out the Series X, you show it's that big, you know it's going to be powerful. Sony doesn't want to come out. They don't want to have. They don't want to be the same price going into with the Series X because they know it's going to be weaker. They want to be cheaper, but at the same time, if they were 500 and we all pretty much assume the Series X is going to be 500 to 600, if they both are going to be at 500, I don't think Sony would care because they're like, look, we might be the same price, but we have the better games going into it, regardless what people think. We have we have this entire generation on our back to make it a lot better. But if they both are at 600, that's when Sony.
But let me ask you this, Addict. Though, what about, like you said, they know they're the global brand, they know they got the exclusives, right? What if they just say, yo, why don't they just say we 500 right now? Why the wait now on 500?
That's because if Microsoft's going to be at 6, they have no problem being at 6.
But what if? Okay, so all right.
Okay,
I understand what you're saying. Like, why shoot yourself in the foot and put a low price when Microsoft can go high
and
you can make?
Are we gonna let him in or
you
not?
can make mad money.
Well, we got the super chat. 1 second. Shroom Kingdom file super chat. PlayStation 5 will ship with a controller, but you have to swipe your credit card on the built-in card reader to turn it off. Oh my god!
Shut up to you guys. Do you
Shut
guys mind if Kid comes in? He wants in.
Yeah, we can get him.
All right, we'll get you here in a second, Kid. Look, at the end of the day, I just personally feel like if they both were at 500, Sony would have announced it by now.
No, but I see your business acronym. And this is I'm saluting you right now because you, my Patty Wong, you are definitely doing your thing right now. What you just did was you just did business 101. Right? Why the hell should we give you our price if we don't know these guys' price? If they say 6, why would we lock ourselves to 500? And if they say 600, we could say 550. We could say 575. And we can make a larger profit.
They wouldn't care because at the end of the day, they're going into this generation as the W. They're going into this generation as the entire population. But if they're 6 and they don't know if they should go 5 because if they go 6 and they announce what they want to be 6, and then Microsoft announces that their shit's 5, that's $100 difference. They don't want that. They want to be neither on the same level as Microsoft, or they don't want Microsoft being lower. That's the point.
So what you're saying is you feel that Sony is comfortable being financially on par price wise going into the next generation. They just don't want to be a part where they're $100 more and they're weaker like Microsoft.
And it looks bad because it just looks bad.
No
So
doubt.
at that point, that's why I said it feels like they're kind of once Microsoft sets their price, right? That's a green light for them to set it at the exact same price, and they're gonna let the PlayStation faithful carry them over, for whatever the power deficiencies they may be or not be. Right? I just think that's the move you make when you're leading the pack.
Back in the pack. But let me ask this. Let's play devil's advocate. We getting on them with the pricing and stuff like that. But what about these same manufacturing issues, right, that we're hearing? What about its effect on the Series X? Could Series X have these manufacturing costs that I know King has his he's in his third eyes open that Samsung and Phil is like this and
that was out of control. That just happened. That was just an epiphany.
That was just an epiphany. You know what I'm saying? You in your bag with that. So Kid is in the building. Kid Spoon for this topic.
Oh, my man Kid. What up?
Yeah, what's up, Kid? Good. Mike levels is good. Mike's is good.
Yeah, we good. We
Yeah,
good.
yeah, you good? You live?
there we go.
So, like, what about this? I know we're hearing the Sony side from the Bloomberg report. You know, what about can these same shortages, you know what I'm saying, affect Microsoft to afford that they may have to, their price may go up as far as the manufacturing costs, and
I think
let's just say theirs is
Microsoft-
$520, and
I think Microsoft uses manufacturers in like Mexico and stuff too. I don't
It's
think
possible.
they just use China.
no, yeah, I know what you mean. And as far as the plants and all
We
that,
don't want
But
those.
it could be a
those-
shortage, though. It could be a
those came out
shortage.
had the red ring. We don't want those.
I mean, at
We-
the end of the day,
we just
regardless
keep
where-
our joints.
gotta
We
remember-
at
keep
the
our
end of the
joints
day,
in China.
regardless where they go, it could still be a shortage. If they don't have all that manufacturing in China to rely on, and they have to rely on their second party manufacturers, the people they go to, if those don't work,
Yeah.
it could be a shortage. We could be one of those things where you have to reserve your stuff to get it.
Remember,
No, I got to read Gaming Forte.
They were
I gotta read
Forte.
Gaming Forte.
yeah,
Shout out to Gaming Forte for the $5 super chat. Oh, my man from Cali.
Salute.
There we go, Cali Compound dude.
Mhm.
All right, PlayStation 5 $499. If Xbox Series X is $599. PlayStation 5 is $399. If the X is $499. If the Xbox would wait out Sony,
he said if he was
who
Xbox.
blinks? Oh,
He was
if-
up, yeah. And
that's
shout
all
out to
that is.
Gene as Xbox One as X was on X is made in China, but we do know they have plants, and I believe in Mexico.
Yeah.
I believe they have plants
Remember,
also
yeah.
in
Malaysia,
Brazil and Malaysia.
Brazil.
Yeah, and then also even Sony themselves, as far as the plants, they're saying right now the coronavirus thing is not the issue. The issue seems to be this NAND and this, what you call it, memory fast smartphones, because of the Galaxy, this S20 out here taking it all up. That's the issue.
Shout out to me. I'm purchasing.
Yeah, I'm day one. I'm day one.
Getting that ultra.
coronavirus
King
stuff
going to
could
get the
come over.
coronavirus.
Yeah.
Yo.
They're already affecting the Switch. Like it's
Yes.
it's a real thing.
It's a real thing for the Switch. Outer Worlds was shout out to my boy Gene in the chat. He put out an article on that. Animal Crossing console was affected for the Switch. But let's get Kid in there.
Well,
Kid, man.
that's kind of I understand. I think something needed to happen to Switch to slow them.
Oh my
down.
God.
Shout out to slowing down Switch. I appreciate that.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to the carnivorous.
Hold
my-
on.
Carnivorous.
King, just so I verify, you're saying that this is the balance of the world, bringing balance back to the.
You know what it was?
console.
It was the Switch was winning too hard, so they had to come up with the carnivorous virus. Put them down.
Shout
Put them
out
down.
to King using the coronavirus for console wars.
No, my virus is the carnivorous. That's what I'm talking about.
The
It makes
meat
you eat
eating
crazy meat.
The
Pause.
meat eating crazy console killer. Moving along, Kiss Move. What's up? What do you feel with this whole, Sony manufacturing having to be 450?
Bro.
Where do you think things land, man? What's
Dude,
going on?
I couldn't wait till this information come out because the thing is, I've been hyping, and the addict should know. I've been saying this something like, yo, from the jump, like before they even, I said next generation consoles are going to be $500 minimum. Right? I was like, in order for it to be the leap that that we're expecting, at minimum $500, and you can thank Microsoft and Sony for getting us accustomed to paying $500 for consoles, right?
Right.
So now it's like the new standard. We can the market can sustain successfully $500 consoles. Like, you agree? I mean, if Microsoft felt like $500 was too much, the Xbox One X wouldn't be
Facts.
$500.
It did well. It did well.
Yeah. And
listen, I don't believe in that philosophy for two things.
Wow.
Me and Cognito has been going back and forth on these stupid cell phones. All right.
Right.
And what he said to me was, it was a logical thought process when I gave him the upper end price. He automatically said, like I know it was like a punch in the face.
Yeah.
But he's like, excuse me, what is the lower end, sir? What's the specs? Like you only telling me $13.99. What the hell is the lower end? So I
For
said,
the
I think
S20.
the lower end is like 800 to 1,000. And he was like, that's the lower end.
That's
and
the
I'm
low
like,
end.
yeah. And then you start to break down what you get for your buck. I truly believe that we can sustain $600 because I don't think the life cycle is out of these older generations. I believe that the PlayStation 4 have life. The Pro, do you really think your Pro has done everything that it can for you? No, I don't think my X has done everything it can for me. It takes these new systems to allow us to play cross-gen titles to push our old systems to their maximum. So I believe the new systems is technically a luxury. To be honest with you, that's for us bougie dudes who need to be at the forefront. You don't need to go out and get the new Galaxy S20.
Right.
You can go buy the 10 if you haven't purchased it. Me and Cognito sat out a whole generation of phone because we didn't feel that the Elite was good.
Right.
And this transcends directly into our consoles. If you don't feel that the value is there, you can sit pat. And this is why Microsoft is doing what they're doing by saying there's no exclusives per se that is going to force your hand if you're financially not ready to make that jump. And when we're able to show you why you need it, then we can competitively price this system at a point that will help you financially. You will give you a year to get your pockets right. You know, so financially, me and Cog got our pockets right for a year that we're able to jump into this phone. But you think in your head that $1,400 for a phone is sane? No, it's not sane.
Yeah, no, I feel where you're going. Let me get the super chat, give it back to King. Shout out to Face23, BKNY with a $10 super chat. Both PlayStation 5 and Series X will do 4K 60, so where will the power difference will be? If any, power advantage won't be no impact. Sony is the bigger, more popular brand in more regions with better games. Shout out to Face BK with his thing. So let's get it back.
I agree with you, but I do think that people are sleeping too much on Game Pass next generation, and I think that's not necessarily going to make stuff equal ground, but it's going to give a little bit more of an advantage that Microsoft has next gen that they didn't have at the beginning of this gen.
You got and listen, gamers are fickle. Gamers are fickle as hell. And when you look
it's
at
about what you're doing for me now, what you're not used to do
lately, and if you look at the launch of that Xbox One, by the time that console came out, the only thing that it had that was not in its favor, only negative thing that hadn't changed was the forcing of the Kinect on everybody and the price point.
So they have none of that fight.
To remove the Kinect part, the biggest thing is always going to be the price. That $100 difference is what killed them. Period. That is the sticking point to the vast majority of people who went back and forth and flip-flop.
Right.
The price point. The price point is, I think, trumps all other reasons for people going to a console or another. And and I don't think either of them at this point. Well, Microsoft can't do it, right? If I'm a pocket watch to say Microsoft has to actually do it, right? I don't think either of them is willing to do that $100 difference.
Right. But here's the thing. Kid, I'm gonna give it right. I know I'm supposed to give it to you, kid. But solve. You gotta be thinking though. With Game Pass, right? Let's just say Microsoft says, "Yo, we gotta make a profit, right?" Let's say manufacturer for them is $520, right? And they say, okay, we bumped this joint to 6, right? And people are like, oh, 6. But part of them could say, look, we got Lockhart at 4 to undercut them, right? And then for the people who want the premium, they can say, look, you saying 6, but our 600 had, let's say they say Game Pass 3 months or 1 month for Game Pass in every Series X. You now talking about 100 semi games and Halo Infinite at launch in your Series X. That's something that PlayStation is not willing to do. Right, so to me, that's another trump card that Microsoft could hold on them.
But what if PlayStation drops at that same price, right?
6 or 5?
Whatever the exact same price is, right?
Okay,
but they drop with Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
I don't think they're dropping Horizon.
No, that's not coming out.
I used to think that, Saul. But I feel like this pricing wouldn't be an issue if they had Horizon 2 sitting on for a launch title. I think they would already thrown that out there to the world.
I don't think any of their top tier.
I think one of their biggest issues is they're going into a generation with no key IPs to launch the console.
We don't. I hear you.
So if they can't really fight on that area, because Microsoft don't really have any either besides Halo, and Halo has always been an up and down hill these days.
No, so I'm not gonna go with that. You see that boy right back there. We ain't gonna do that.
Okay, well just ignore King for a second. All right,
let's not ignore King. Let's look at King. Let's see what's back there. You understand how strong that boy is?
Just
that boy showed up on that.
That's a strong launch title. You talk about a Halo game.
But I didn't say anything about that. I said it's had its up and hit.
Right, up and down. Right. Yeah.
I mean, we can't act like Gears 4 and 5 scored out the charts and sold great. Like they're good games, but they're not compared to what their predecessors were.
I'm gonna tell you this, right? That whole narrative about it not being exclusive to the console, if they drop, they don't even have to drop Horizon, right? If they drop Ratchet and Clank,
it's gotta be amazing.
PS5, but if it's exclusive to the PS5, the narrative is gonna find some way to come back and be like, well, but that Xbox
See,
game,
but you know,
What's
it's
this?
I'm gonna come at you.
Xbox One, like
Right.
they're gonna, the narrative is gonna find some way to diminish that.
I'm gonna come at you with the Ratchet and Clank thing. Colin Moriarty already said he knows for a fact it's a PS4 title.
Okay.
Ratchet and Clank.
With a
So,
CrunchCulture.
you know,
Well,
yes.
what about the Infamous? I mean, they purposely, you know, they have. I'm so.
You realize they're
optimistic.
making Ghost, right? They're
Yeah,
not-
I know. Listen, I'm so optimistic when it comes to the PlayStation 5 for two things. All right, because
You're just throwing a line in the water to see what.
Let me
White
hear where
House
this
is going
goes.
on
Let
here.
me hear where this gonna go.
I do want resistance. I'm talking about now.
You sound like somebody beating them down and
No,
you
no,
want
no.
them to fight back.
No. I'm talking about resistance to game, man. Cut it out. He said, like, I want resistance.
I want it to be a fight. I want you to lay down, stay down. I want you.
Don't fold. Fight
That's what I thought. I'm like, yo, what type of film dominance talk are we doing? Continue.
You out of control, bro. Pause, man. I don't want resistance.
Yo.
Listen, man. I want resistance to game. So I honestly believe that they have a vast, diverse portfolio that they can surprise us with something that's being made. Now, is it something like in the vein of? I think Horizon has grown into the upper echelon of their IPs, and I don't think they would waste it on a small portion of their crowd very early. It'll be too easy to bust early pause in that avenue. I would think it would be like an older IP. Like a Resistance or Infamous, because Infamous has always launched with them or always been in that launch window.
Right.
Maybe that game can actually show the power of the five.
Nah, Nat does that better.
Oh my God.
If there's any truth to Shuhei Yoshida's recent comments, right?
About active users being the new metric? Is that what we do?
They're slowly but surely acclimating the PlayStation faithful to hearing those words and terms because it's. I'm telling you, just what King said. When we talked about earlier about their strategies, and Jason wasn't 100% sure that they would ever do day and date. They're conditioning you to start hearing those words. I'm telling you right now. Y'all about this. I don't know if the day and date stuff will ever happen or will happen anytime soon. But they're conditioning you to get more and more used to hearing that type of stuff.
Let's get Kid in, man. Kid, what you feel all this, man?
All right, a couple things I want to point out. All right, the first thing, that whole price thing. If you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, but like the Xbox One, the original, like the VCR, stopped being $500 in June of 2014. That's when they removed the Kinect box.
Yes.
From it. So it's only been like a $500 for like 6 months, and believe it or not, the first 6 months of the console was actually selling pretty well.
Right.
But they got rid of that narrative pretty early in the generation. The Xbox wasn't $500 again until the Xbox One X came out. So the reason, my whole thing about the pricing is Sony, ever since the whole development of like the PS5, Sony, I think Sony and both Microsoft both knew that these consoles were going to be like $500 plus, and especially Sony. They seemed with their, even though they seem quiet now, they were the first more open talking about the PlayStation 5. Remember, like they've been talking about it since like April of 2019, and now they're quiet as a church mouse now.
X
That's
was
crazy.
announced, and then they went completely ghost.
But y'all don't think, Kid, you don't think that a lot of it is a surprise? Because the vibe is, if they're in this wait and see, and I don't want to say they're panicking, but it almost feels like this cost thing threw them off. Like they thought the vibe was like they thought they was gonna be $400. It was gonna be cheaper.
See, that's the problem. The fans, everybody said ever since the PS4 launched at $400, everybody just assumed the PS5 was automatically gonna be $400. I was like, and that's why BG lost this money to me. He jumped on this $400 bandwagon. I'm like, are you crazy? All this stuff they're talking about putting in this console. I was like, here's the thing. This is what's gonna happen, right?
Talk to me.
They're not surprised that oh man, this is costing us so much money. They're surprised because Xbox already showed the Xbox Series X and it looked like it's going to be a beast. And they're like, wait, if they're going to sell that for $500, then we might have a little problem. And the thing is, because they know for sure that they wanted to retell their PS5, and they know right now this is the time that they know the price. They won't announce the price in February,
right? But
they know what they want to sell it for. They want to sell this console for $500. Now their problem is the Xbox Series X is out there. It's been shown. They know what they're working with. They know what AMD did for the Series X. They know what they're working with. They're just like, you know what? It's probably going to be is probably going to be more powerful. Yeah, we want to be the cheaper console, but they just don't know what Phil and them is going to do.
Right.
Because like they probably know. I was like, all right, if they drop Lockhart, I'm not too worried about that. But if you're telling me if their price cap is $500 and they're still expected to be more powerful than
that's a problem.
Then we have a problem.
Right.
It's in Sony's best interest if Phil plays nice like he typically does and price that Series X at $600. Because if he prices that Xbox Series X at $600, the PlayStation 5 can comfortably
be at $5.
Launch at $500.
Yes.
Right. Okay. All right, kid.
So King don't like this.
All right. No. I like what you're saying. I mean, but it's flawed. Let me tell you why it's flawed.
Lord, here we go.
Ever since that award show, y'all eyes have been open. Y'all have realized this is not the same old Phil. This is the Phil that King's been talking about for a minute. All of a sudden now, people are saying that, don't think he gonna go back to that. What you just said, play nice Phil. Phil ain't been playing nice since that day. To this day, Phil has been on their neck. Like anything that they've done, Phil has thwarted them in every avenue. They say, okay, you thought you was going to get a little show this month in February to figure out what was going on with their PlayStation 5. What Phil said? February is going to be a good month. What y'all said? What the hell Phil said? Like, you don't understand. Like, old boy is out here with his petty out. Pause. And, of course, y'all think, all we got to do is wait for Microsoft to launch that. Y'all been doing the same old tactic for years.
Yeah, that's
Let
true.
Microsoft go first and we come behind. Phil can wait you out now.
So Phil ain't gonna announce the price at E3. We gonna sit at E3.
You know what he can do? You know what he can do? Since Sony ain't gonna be at E3, he can show you games, gameplay, box, all that statistics, everything.
And this
tell you in July you get your price.
So wait, he gonna force them out? He gonna starve them?
He gonna smoke you out.
Here's
smoked out.
King, here's my problem.
What it is? Look, no. King's on to something.
Oh boy!
Because at the end of the day, hold up. We let you talk.
And then we get Kid after
Because
that.
at the end of the day, it's whoever cracks first.
Yep.
If Sony's like, all right, Phil is really putting it to us. Like, now we gotta wait till July. Then when we gonna announce our stuff in August?
But production goes in August, right, Kid? Kid, jump in there. What's going on?
It does.
Come on, Kid. What you think is happening, Kid?
Here's the thing. They need they don't want to wait until July or August to announce the price. They need those pre-orders up by E3 or just before. You need the pre-orders to get that buzzing, and so does PlayStation. If Sony, that's the tricky thing. It's like, I don't care what happens, what they announce the Xbox Series X at. The PlayStation 5 will not be $400. They're not taking that L. They're not doing that because you know how long it will take for them to profit.
Yeah, but all right. In defense, though, PlayStations 1 through 3, they didn't profit. They took a loss on those. PlayStation 4 is the only system that they made a profit on. That's the only one they did. And to do that, they had to remove the camera and the DRM.
In those first couple generations, I think PlayStation was in a different place financially to be able to take that loss. I don't think they're there anymore.
I feel what you're saying. Hold on, we got a super chat.
I think they're doing well.
But look at the grand scope of things, the cost of everything, and how it was in each generation.
Right.
Because remember, by the time PlayStation 1 came out 95?
Yeah, back then.
95, and the PS2 didn't come out until 2000 and stuff like that. And they sold at a loss at first, but they were doing it on like meat competition. You got to understand, they had an opportunity. You see what they did with the PS4 at a profit?
Yeah.
Why go back if you don't have to?
I feel that.
And then you got to think the first beginning couple generations too. That was beginning of gaming too.
Right.
They can't really ask too much out of these people because
and
no one knows what games
and
is.
to your point, and to Kid's point, Microsoft and these guys have established that gamers will pay $500 for an Xbox One X or whatever, and it seems to be comfortable. We know 608 that Detroit, but let me get these super chats. Hold on. Face 23 BKNY $10 super chat. I highly doubt a lot of people are going to give up everything they purchased on PS4 this gen. Was the worst gen to lose for Xbox. It's going to be hard to convince people to switch over.
And I agree with them on that.
Real quick.
Because of the digital, I agree with them on that.
I agree with you, but this is where Phil comes in to smack you. This is how it happens.
He gonna walk in, just do the Phil smack and walk out.
Yeah, you know how you do. You take the glove off and go. Jim Dance Moves Ryan is gonna have Game Pass on PlayStation 5.
Oh my God, here we go. Gaming Forte with the $5 super chat. $4.99 is a great price, but why not spend $100 more? I understand the trepidation, but some people blow that on a one-night stand. Treat your hobby better. I feel you. I mean, Forte, I feel you. I know the hardcore. We don't care. We're there day one. The question is, historically, 600 is always seemed as, with the PS3.
Forte, I'm surprised at you. I'm surprised at you for this. You are on the front lines.
Mm-hmm.
You see people come in, and I want you to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
How many times has somebody sat there and saw a price for one thing,
mm-hmm.
and then looked over and saw something else that was cheaper and went with something else that was cheaper?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's finances here we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
$100 for some people is a hell of a lot of bread. So I don't care.
Mm.
I feel the guy that went aside to buy an Xbox and brought a PlayStation walking out the store because it was $100 cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
$100 is a hell of a lot for some people. For me, that's something else. I don't know what it is, but $100 could be a pair of sneakers for my kid.
Right.
That $100 could be anything.
Mm.
Why waste $100 when I can game someplace else?
Right. I mean, it's gonna be interesting, man. I'll let Kid and Saul finish up. I mean,
got one more super chat.
Yeah, please.
Man, the $3 super chat. Love this podcast. King Smooth dropping facts.
we're gonna see, man. I mean, this manufacturing thing is definitely heating up. The
Broken
competition.
Game says y'all got a lot of faith
Hate that Uncle Phil. Yeah, man. We gonna see. Like,
You should too.
One of those companies have like
But
some
that was in
ownership
color?
AMD. Just to give you a heads
Stop.
up.
Was that in color? 'Cause I didn't
VG's
see
the
it.
homie.
Okay,
Stop it.
I'm sorry, BG. I
Nah,
can't
VG
say
VG the homie. Stop it.
No, I've been messing with BG all week.
Oh, no
Let it
doubt.
go.
Shout out to
Stop
my
playing,
boy
bro.
Gene, man, from the of LordsGaming.net. Launch games will be $120, so Microsoft has wiggle room with Game Pass, and that's coming to my thing. I think, listen, I want them to be 500. I would love both to be 500, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then let the battles begin, let the gamesmanship begin, and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? I'm curious if Microsoft does announce 500, if Sony eats it, goes 4, and then if that happens, I want to know where Lockhart going.
I
This
want
is
to know
great.
who gets fired. Yo, on God, this is what's gonna happen. On God and them. If Microsoft says 500
Yeah.
and Sony says 4,
4. Woo!
you can guarantee nothing comes in your box. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, you are not getting no wire.
You know what, King? You're gonna look at the back of the box and say the whole thing comes with the console. You have to buy the wires, the HDMI cord, the controller.
Bro, 400 be strong.
Listen, 400
Like a ham.
in your box, you don't got no controller, you don't got no power cord, you don't got no HDMI.
So they go nickel it down. They go nickel it down.
Yo, listen, remember when we got our Jaguar and it came in that milk carton?
Yes.
They was doing the same thing. If Sony, no, somebody's fired. Automatic. No, that's not a go. That's not
a
I'm sorry.
listen,
Oh,
man. They can't have Microsoft out here at 500. Like you said, if Microsoft is 5 with the more power, do you know what the narrative would be? You thought Resolution Gate was bad? Remember when them Digital Foundry articles come out and Richard Ledbetter with the smooth English voice and John Lennon come out there and be like, well, the ray tracing and the frames per second. And it would be crazy out here in these Digital Foundry streets.
Shout
Come
out
on.
to Digital Foundry for getting people scared.
They can't have that, man. They got to go for if Phil comes out with his petty and says, you know what, 5 was good out here, right? They in a tough spot. But if they go 4, at least they can say, yo, we're cheaper. This is the price y'all used to. We're the global
nothing.
brand.
And people
Remember what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what I said. If they say $400,
Yeah.
I want everybody to pick up yo, in your box. You're getting a milk carton crate.
the biggest thing that you have to really take into that is whether or not Microsoft would take that hit, and I think
Yeah.
they would, because at the end of the day, it's clearly said
Yo,
at the end of
what?
we have
About no operating system.
Oh my God!
at the end of the day, Microsoft has been very vocal that they care about the console space, but they don't care about it.
Yeah, that's my point. See,
So
my thing
it's
nigga,
like, look, like we have no problem taking, even a $50 to $100 loss when we're just gonna bundle Game Pass and everything.
That's what I'm
We're
saying.
gonna get that money back with that.
Microsoft
People are gonna
is
go into Game Pass, and if they like the Game Pass games, they gotta get gold.
That's-
So we get $20 a month from them.
That's my thing is Microsoft said.
If you have the ability to actually take that L, right?
Mhm.
Why not be, super aggressive? Like,
No, I agree. Listen, I would love that.
But I think the console and how it's shaped and how it visually looks is super aggressive. They didn't take the casual approach to this.
Not at all.
They didn't
Right.
make it look like anything else. They're
Right.
like, we're going to reshape how these are made.
Right. And they could say, yo, this is the premium box, right? We still got Lockhart out here. They still say, yo, we got Lockhart chilling. And then the other thing is we know, like we said, we're going to go back to the main point. Our Lord and Savior, Yoshida, said, just like Phil Dominus, active users and subscriptions is the new metric. That's the new wave now. All that console sale is over.
Biggest problem. Here's the biggest problem right now. The biggest problem is it's February 16th. We're talking about PlayStation 5 manufacturing costs and potential costs, and we still haven't seen the console yet.
Yeah.
That's because they don't want to show anything. Because
it's a pyramid. They said they went
Well,
from monolith.
it was rumored that the actual console looks like the dev kit.
Yo, it's a
it's supposed to look similar, but it's not supposed to look exactly like the dev kit. At the end of the day, if you throw out an appearance of a console, people are going to be at you even more for the price.
Listen, man.
They don't want to do anything until Microsoft.
Going back to the manufacturing issues we were talking about before, right? They said potentially another issue is that because it was developed, it's designed that way, it has heat dissipation issues.
Yeah,
right?
I hear that. So they're spending a lot on the cooling. I heard the cooling is up too. Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you
They
just
didn't
throw the
borrow the
cooling
whole
out?
method?
Yeah,
Shut up, kid.
Listen, just get rid of that little shoehorn shape thing and just make a pyramid. Just make a pyramid and have the air just funnel out the top.
You know how it works too, King. Every quarter of the pyramid gonna be a disc drive. They're gonna have one for the Blu-ray, one for the PlayStation.
Y'all petty. Listen, last comment. I gotta speak to Sony, the CEO, the Lord and Savior Yoshida. He said that business should be judged by the number of active users, not the number of hardware units sold. Some Sony game staff think it should sell the new console at a loss, if necessary, just to match Microsoft's price, while other Sony executives say they would prefer to make money as the company did with the PS4. This is an internal struggle, y'all. We're going to see how this thing plays out. It's going down to the wire, y'all. This is fun. I love it. Can't wait, man.
We missed one.
something?
Phase 23 BKNY with the $5 chat. Xbox.
You gotta pay attention. This is Jim Ryan. What got a promotion, right?
Yeah.
A launch year to PS4. This is an important decision on his career.
Yes. I agree.
His job is to make SIE money. So he can get a bigger bonus and be pat on the back, say you did a good job.
So that's why you go 5. You go 5. You said manufacturer. Yeah.
Listen, the active user comment is coming from the people that have a stable job. The people who are unstable said, we need to make money now. I see how y'all firing people. I see how stuff is happening over here, and I just don't feel comfortable with what's going on here. So let's make our money up front. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can tell the difference between somebody that's comfortable in their pockets and somebody who's not. The people that's comfortable in their pockets are able to say, yo, you can pay me back whenever you get it. The other people that are not comfortable in their pockets say, yo, listen, I need my money on Tuesday. Get my money back on Tuesday. So the money back on Tuesday, guys,
that's exactly what I said.
They're going to win. I think the money back on Tuesday, guys, is going to win.
You think that's what's going to happen, King? That's what we had?
Man. You know, Phil has infiltrated them. No doubt. You definitely hear the rhetoric change. When you said it, and if you close your eyes and you listen to it, you heard that before. We're going to go by the metric of active users. Where the hell have you heard that before? That's from Microsoft. So every time you turn around, everything has been changed.
I don't know,
philosophy's
King.
been
I don't know,
changed.
King. Christopher Hart says it's King pocket watching right now.
You listen. What I'm saying is, if it's not in color, Chris, I can't hear you.
Look, let's get some pocket watching in that chat for King right now.
No, if you got those emojis that you paid for, let's do that. Let's get those up in there. Let's get the pocket watching. I'll join you with this because I'm watching your pockets right now. Because if it ain't in color, I can't see it.
Oh my god. Moving along, man. Kid, you got anything else on this last thing before we move on to the next topic? Because we got to roll.
The thing
on.
is, are we gonna do this if we're not gonna skip the Phil Spencer comments, we might as well just tie it into this.
Tied in. Okay, so I've tie that in, and then I'll do Keighley after this.
So Phil Spencer was on the 1,000th episode of GamertagRadio.
Yeah, salute Paris, man. Put them dudes,
shout out to those guys, fantastic. That is a lot of podcasts.
Yes, 1,000. Wow.
And he made a lot of.
Don't you love that you're letting Sovereign say my topic?
Yes.
No, please go right ahead at it.
No, you're doing fine, man. I mean, some pizza anyway.
Continue.
That's why we need a camera on you.
Continue.
They asked Phil a lot of questions about, him taking over and the things that had to be done when he took over. Obviously, cancel games, scale bound. They talked about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the most interesting stuff that came out of that interview was that Phil was talking about. They asked him about his aggressiveness now, right? And their stance. And it's funny, we were talking about that, about how they've come out aggressively. They showed the console early in a place that we didn't expect. And in this interview, Phil specifically used the words, "We're not going to be meek." Like he used the word meek in a way I've never seen anybody like that was the perception before. We've talked about when you have the opportunity to put the boot on the neck, do it. Even if your opponent isn't necessarily there or they're not there for the toe-to-toe, head-to-head battle, just keep putting the boot on the neck, right? And this is something that we talked about PlayStation doing all the time. Xbox is minding their business and they still walk right by them and mush them in the face. Just to let them know they were still there.
Exactly.
And I think
Need a bully.
Kick your ball over the yard and let them know whose yard is this.
It almost feels like that's what he's saying. Like, look, whenever we have the opportunity to do so, we're going to be bullish and bully-ish about the things that we're going to announce that we know people are going to be excited about. And that to me was kind of more candid than I expected him to be about that sort of stuff.
Right.
And I think if they hold true, it's going to be some real interesting stuff. And it goes back to the pricing stuff. Like, what does that mean?
He did say they don't want to be beat on power and price. They're gonna be.
Let's get that Victor Alistine real quick.
Shout out to Victor Alistine. Great show, guys. You guys are killing it. Salute, Victor Alistine.
Thank you, Vic.
Much love.
Salute.
Yeah, man. I mean, look. All I'll say about it, I listened to it. Fantastic interview. What I got from it
was a good interview. It was a really good interview.
What I got from it, he definitely seems very confident. There's no question. I don't sense any meekness. This is him all day.
This is the Phil Dominus Spencer King be talking about.
This is the dude I told you that was there that y'all was like, no, Phil like to shake hands and kiss babies. No, let me tell you something right now. Your boy is out here. Listen, I knew it when I looked in his eye. I don't know. It was like a calm that came over me. I was like, oh, we in good hands, right? With Allstate. With this dude right here is definitely going to go for that juggler. He showed me, like, he had that look in his eye, like, if you give me the opportunity, I'm going to strangle him out, King. Don't you worry about it, man. I got you, man. On God.
You got your hitter on deck? You got your hitters on deck?
Yes, he was like, yo, just give me the opportunity. I'm going to show you I can do it. And you know what? Fearlessly, I have back. This has been my greatest.
Phil told you. Don't lie. Phil was like this with King. Now look, King. It takes a couple years to get the assassins in the right place. Oh, all right.
Yeah, basically. And I know it, and I saw progression, and I saw it. And when you pick somebody, like it's a horse.
Yeah.
When you go to the horse track and you pick a horse. And you just don't know. You just like, yo, that horse look like he got that stuff. Right? And the horse take off from the gate and he blow out the yard, like, and he wins. You like, oh my God, yo, I picked that horse. Yo, you're killing it right there. You feel good about yourself. When everybody was sitting there like, nah, your horse is trash, my dude. Like, your horse is straight trash. I don't even, why are you picking that horse? Did you understand his last owner didn't win anything?
Yeah.
Yo. This horse is gonna kill y'all. And I'm so on the front line for this dude.
You're in the race.
You forgot to say it, King. This horse is gonna kill y'all. On God in there.
On God in him. Oh my God. Listen, I will say, like I said, interview is very confident. I liked his. I don't want to say.
You know what I liked about the people who did the interview? They didn't hold a lot of punches back. Like they were very upfront.
Yeah, shout out to Paris and them, man. Those are the people. They was in their bag. For sure. And like I said, I like what he said about Japan. I love the reading folk. I love that he said, and this goes to Ungrateful Addict, because he came for Addict on this one. He said it burnt my soul that them Japanese games were not on, they were only on PlayStation, that weren't on Xbox, right? That to me was huge, and that's like basically kind of reassuring, like, yo, that's not going down next gen. We're establishing that, and then I love what he said about the studio thing, having a presence over there. That to me is huge, and I like what he said about VR. Actually, he clarified his statements. He said he just wanted to be honest that at the start of the gen with the Series X, that's not something that's going to be there. But as he left the door open, right, as it progresses, and if it catches on, yeah, they'd be willing to jump on. And I thought that was cool. It was a good interview, man. I really like what I had to say.
Can Ungrateful Addict talk?
Yes, go ahead, Ungrateful.
Yeah, because I see Ungrateful. Jonathan B, shout out.
Yeah. Oh, Jonathan B's on. Yes, he knows about your ungratefulness. Continue.
Look, Phil showed me that that is something he's clearly working on. He even said, he's like, I don't know if we'll ever be to a point where everything that's in Japan will be over here, but he did show that it's one of the biggest priorities is for it to get as many to come over as possible.
Right. No, definitely. So that's what I got.
I saw that as a huge weakness, to be honest with you, because when I can get Persona on my PlayStation and I can't get it on my Xbox, I think that's a big hole.
Okay, Ungrateful King.
I'm just saying, like, if he's going over there to bridge those gaps, to fix that hole, to understand, that's the mark of a true leader. A true leader can see his weakness and try to fix him. Yeah. Right, and he's being transparent with it.
Yes.
It's not like you have weaknesses and you try to just shore up your strengths.
Yeah, you're trying to front.
Fix those weaknesses.
The old Microsoft would just put the bucket with the water, pull out the water. They're not necessarily going to fix the hole. That's
not at all. Yeah.
Now this Microsoft's like, all right, let's get this out of the water. We got to fix it.
Not to say that
it's been a whole way too long.
Not to say that the old Microsoft didn't try, because we got the Blue Dragon, we got the Miss Walker games. We were in that bag.
Right.
What we weren't was consistent.
Right.
And I believe that we will get a level of consistency with this type of reign. Because listen, guys, Phil ain't gonna be there always. Right. So while he's there, appreciate him. Because we had other guys that were in charge that were equally as great, and a time and a tenure is over. Right? And they brought the 360 to a forefront. They pushed the 360 through when we couldn't see it. You understand? So Phil is not going to always be there. You appreciate him for what he's doing, but look at the roadmap that he's giving you. The roadmap that he's giving you is a roadmap of hope going forward. This Xbox generation could have literally be done.
Facts.
All right.
You know what I did notice? You know what I did notice? I think that we're gonna have issues with backwards compatibility next gen.
Where did that?
Because if you listen to that interview, he said, "I'm playing games on my backwards compatibility that's on the pre-approved list." Okay. So I'm thinking it's going to be like this gen, where certain publishers and then won't let the game go.
Yeah, they got to get permission, and then like I said,
I think we're going to have that issue.
Yeah, but I mean, and then also remember, like Bill Still was saying, it's not about that they can't do it. Some of it is licensing issues. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, they could do them all. If they
could do them all. You know what I'm saying? It just comes down to what they could get approval. But to King's point, before we move on, because King is dropping some fire, he throwing some darts at my mans. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a Peter Boy guy. But I will say this. Peter Boy, that's my heart. That to me is what brought Xbox 360, one of the greatest consoles, to the forefront. They're aggressive, but I have to admit what Phil's doing, the way he's handling Japan.
I'm coming around on him.
Yeah, it's a better. Your man is a better long-time strategist than just throwing. My man was throwing money at it and said, "Come over," right? But
he
Phil
was
is
like a grenade full of money at people.
Like, like he like, yo, come on, we got y'all, right? But Phil is going to the hood, like foot pulling up, and it's like, yo, what we got to do to break bread? We need y'all over here. You know what I'm saying? We can't be missing them games over here. And then also, I love the Japanese studio talk, whether it be buying one or developing one from scratch, and that's a different approach.
They were extremely interested.
Yeah,
in that.
and
another thing I really liked, he said that one of the biggest issues that they have with the Japanese market and all the developers and publishers is they don't like that. They don't see the Xbox in their stores, and he said that going next generation, we're going to be very, very strong about that. We're going to make sure that it comes out in Japan at the same time it comes out.
And to me, the last key he got to do, if he do this, is big. Like what they're doing with Korea right now, the XCOM, people are sleeping. They're using xCloud more than the United States right now. That's
you should be
crazy.
ashamed of yourself.
So,
you should be ashamed
but for us,
of
we
yourself.
console. No, but for us, we consoles more. So it makes sense.
You know,
but
at least turn it on.
they
at
turning
least
it
check
on.
out.
It's just like, okay, if we gold, they platinum. Okay, cool. We still doing it, right? But hold it. The whole thing is this though, like. If they do what they're doing with the xCloud Telecom, like if they do what they're doing with how T-Mobile, you see T-Mobile done made that move with Sprint, right? You see that coverage don't get wider, right? You see xCloud gonna be implemented in that joint. If they do something similar in Japan, where you link up with the biggest ISP, because let's be real, as much as we could say studio and all that, I'm gonna keep it a buck. They not buying Xbox consoles. We seen the memes, and when they be like, "Yo, here's the new Xbox is sold," there'd be 10 people in the store. They be getting clown, or Kotaku be clown. It'd be funny, but it's true. Like nobody's like they got all the Xbox logos in the streets, and no one's buying the console, fam. We know it.
Cognito.
So let's come on, kid.
I'm sorry. Yeah, remember, I forgot who it was. Somebody brought it up saying this was the worst generation to lose.
Yes.
And Xbox is very aware of that, and that's when xCloud and Game Pass is going to make up that difference by a large margin.
The play.
xCloud ain't for us; it's for Asia, Korea, Japanese. They're going to go into their T-Mobile, Samsung, whatever, and they're going to get like how we got like a year of Apple Plus with our Verizon and stuff like that. They're going to be getting Game Pass and xCloud with their phone purchases and stuff like that, and they're going to. The jump in user base for Xbox games is going to jump dramatically because of stuff like that. Because of the soft buy-in. Right. Everybody's buying phones and whatnot.
Right.
That Samsung deal is so big.
It's huge.
Like it's crazy. And I just thought about it, I was like, wow. I was like, wow, a year from now, I can upgrade my phone and they're going to offer me Project X for a year.
Listen, again, we laugh at, like you said, it's not for us. We laugh at, shout out to my boy G. He said, because shout out to G from Logan. He goes to Japan. He knows. My boy from LordsofGaming.net, one of the best writers out there, salute them. He said, mobile game in Japan is unbelievable. Was there for TGS. The entire country plays Pokemon. This is real. Right? So again, we got to get ourselves out of our console thinking that it's not going to work. Again, the key is the implementation, right? We know over there there's a lot of free 99, so they got to, if they implement it with the ISP, like Kid is saying, right? And say, yo, you sign up for you renewing your contract, you getting this 1 year xCloud or whatever it is they do to get them in the ecosystem, that's a big deal. And that's them penetrating them. And that would be,
ask you a question.
My last point, that would be, I would get, if Phil is able to do that, I gotta give him the gold over my man, because no one was ever on the Xbox side able to solve the Japan riddle, and that would put Phil over Peter. If he can pull this off, that's something that no Xbox leadership has been able to do, and it's exciting. But go ahead, Kid.
Let me ask you a question. When you know how the apps that come inside your phone, when your phone you boot your phone up, is Xbox Game Pass on the new Samsung phones, being that the deal is done or whatever, or is that already in a baked-in app?
I don't know. The way they acted is like some cross promotion that they're gonna say more details will be revealed later. They got some type of joint thing going with them, and
I think that'll be huge. If you can get the app to be one of the baked-in apps, like the first apps that are already installed on the phone that you don't have to go and install, that it's there. Then I think that's huge, because that allows a demographic to just say, "Well, what's this?" and hit the button.
And iOS now, right? We see the beta now. That's huge. That's a huge market again. Yo, the chat is hating. They like, y'all capping for Phil. This is nuts. It's not happening. How's Gear Pop? They mad. They don't like this xCloud. They should talk, y'all.
Chris, who you capping for?
They said we smoking reefer. Oh, Lord, they coming at us, kid.
I mean, y'all coming, but I don't see color, so I can't see you coming. I would really love to hear you, but I'm tone deaf and colorblind.
Oh man, listen, like I said, Christopher John is funny, man. It's a funny thing. We'll see what happens. Let's move on. Last topic, we get up out of here. This is good friend Geoff Keighley, man, back in the news again. So yeah, he just made an announcement that the E3 Coliseum will not return to E3 after handling the past couple of events. Stop clapping.
I
We
never
can't act like
went.
none of us went to this.
I never went.
Okay, we get it. But he said, but the key statement he said is, given what has been publicly communicated about the plans for E3 2020, he doesn't feel comfortable participating in the show at this time. And then right as that happened, I mean, right when he made this is right before another leak by the ESA
hold
website.
on. Christopher Hart put that money in.
Okay,
Hold
let's
on.
get it.
Shout out for the $2 super chat for Christopher Hart. Sony will dominate point blank. Period. King. Okay, you know what, Christopher Hart? I don't really think you on that. So let's get these bushes out here for Christopher Hart.
They don't like
Christopher Hart in the
Yo,
bushes.
Christopher Hart does not like when we get excited about the Asian market. They don't like when we talk about xCloud and other markets. They don't like about none of this hopeful thinking. They said the boots on the neck that they gonna dominate it. None of us hopeful thinking
Y'all
gonna
ain't
work.
got no deals with no phone discs. That Experion that nobody purchased.
The Experion, oh,
That Experion.
damn, King, why you had to do it like that?
You don't think I know? I remember you. Y'all are new to this. I'm true to this. I'm gonna leave you black and blue
to this. Ooh, the bars. Anyway, moving along. So yeah, man, he basically said that announcement right as ESA leaked again the plans for E3. So yeah, they're pulling out, man. He's not gonna be there. And I just wanted to bring this to the realm. You know, what do we think, man? You know, is this bigger than? You know, it's bigger than rap. It's ESA, you know what I'm saying, messing it up to the point where dudes not feeling comfortable. Is there a solid boycott going on? Like, what's going on?
Yo, you know, we talked about this in the background. We talked about that we feel that, my opinion, all right, I'm not going to jump nobody else into this. My opinion is I feel that people are getting together and they're trying to make a silent protest. They're trying to protest what's going on, and they feel that if we all pull out at the same time, we're going to show that the pen is mightier than the sword. Listen, dude, I never went to the Coliseum. Not taking anything away from the Coliseum. If you're not there, I wouldn't even know if you were, right? But for some people, that means a lot, right? And your coverage not being there means a lot for certain people, right? So what we're going to do is, I assure you, ESA, if you allow me to get media, I will take up every last piece of coverage that they did not cover, and I will show your Coliseum in great detail. I will show the world that E3 is still viable and alive. And I will not allow these old dinosaurs to kill it. I'm a young wolf waiting to shine. Allow me to be your voice box. Allow me to be your eyeballs. Allow the world to see that E3 is still a king.
King, I gotta come for you now. We the same people. That be on Sony when information gets stolen. These dudes have now stolen information twice again, and your information would be at risk if you mess with it. But you cool with ESA stealing it, but you ain't cool putting your credit card with Sony. Come on, King.
Let me tell you this, right? ESA, your security is lacking. But for each and every last one of you guys watching right now, for each and every last one, I will put my security at risk for you to get media. Give me media or give me death.
That's what it's about. I'm done with you. King. Your King is out of control. Shout out to Brad with the $5 super chat. Chris Hart, if Sony doesn't dominate next gen, the IOP is going to give you Derrick Rose knees. Oh, you know we coming. That's a fact. That's a fact, though.
Is all we have all these companies always leaking your stuff on accident. We have the Sony thing that happened in 2011. We have the I think one of the credit bureaus just leaked millions of people's stuff. So it's like, how many of these people that these media outlets play on PlayStation and buy stuff on PlayStation? It's like nothing is 100%. It was ESA's fault for what they did, and they should have took more ownership of what they did.
They
did another leak, man. Again.
Well, what did they leak?
They leaked the
Calvin
damn
is
plans.
doing security,
They
man.
leaked the. Calvin is definitely doing security. Oh my god!
So they leaked their plans.
They leaked the plans and all the companies that's gonna be there. They leaked
right.
Bruh. Now the good thing about the leak is that we found out that shout out to Ainsley Bolden, Season Game, and I just found this out, that Microsoft not only is in their own separate theater, they're on the floor as well. Because before, they remember it used to be Nintendo and then Sony, the big joint. And I think it's the West Hall, whatever that hall is, kid, right? I forgot which one it is. Right? Now, I mean, obviously we know Sony's not going to be there. Microsoft is in the spot. And they got a big boost. So there's a potential, you know Series X's and could be on the floor. The Microsoft trying to take advantage of their new console launch, which would be pretty huge.
You know what happened?
Aggressive, not being meek.
What happened was the moment Sony announced they weren't going, okay, call the ESA. Look, we got to be on that floor. They ain't going to be there.
Could be. Because, again, a lot of times, let's be real, we go to E3 a lot, right? A lot of times, if you are new to E3, if you're not in the know, you don't know about E3 Coliseum. And sometimes you don't even know that Microsoft is not in the building and they're somewhere else.
I bet you 80% of the people in this chat didn't even know what the Coliseum was.
Right. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So it's cool to see Microsoft take advantage of it. I mean, listen, with the Keighley thing, I'm gonna be real. I am saddened by that. You know, I know we've had our issues with Keighley with certain things, but I can't get mad at him for this. Like you know what I'm saying?
When you look at the actual reason that he gave, right? He says this is very important to a lot of people, but E3 needs to be A, more global, and B, more digital, right? Specifically, he didn't say anything about any of the activations or the celebrities on. He didn't say anything about that. So when you look at how successful he was with the Game Awards, in particular this year, how it's grown every single year, specifically how it's reached more people.
Right.
I think he's at the point where he's kind of his own entity now when it comes to this sort of stuff. He doesn't need them, right? Yeah. Because correct me if I'm wrong. He was sort of the impetus for the Judges Week stuff leading up to E3, right? So he's saying all of that stuff is still happening. He's running that stuff, but it's not part of E3 at all. It's going to happen. So again, it's like it feels like his stock as an entity himself and being able to handle this stuff himself has risen to the point he doesn't need.
True.
E3
I agree with all I said, but again, Asaf, I don't want to understate like the fact that it seemed based on his statement of saying at this point I'm not comfortable. It's like you seen something you don't like.
Oh yeah,
that they do, and then the day of. They get another leak of this information, like they loose, like they mad confidential information is just running loose out here. So again, can I really blame him for saying that?
I don't blame him. I don't. But I do say this though, ESA, if you would take my application and you would make me media, together we can make E3 great again. You know, 2020 E3. Let's make E3 great again. Vote me as the media president, and I will bring this back. Let's bring it back. Let's do it.
Is Kid still here? I don't know if Kid's still here.
Is Kid as a team?
Kid still here? Oh, he left. Yeah, Kid's like everybody left out. Attic,
I'm here.
Oh, okay, Kid, just quick. I need your synopsis on this, and then we gotta get out of here. And then Attic. This whole
the Geoff Keighley, right?
Yeah.
No, I went to that Coliseum thing when I went to E3 with y'all.
Wow, I've never been. How was it?
Yeah, it was all right, but you know, my wife is just ready to go, so we sat in and then we left. But yeah, I do agree with like the whole thing. It was like the way that it was announced was like, oh my god, the industry. This is pretty much a industry protest against the ESA. So I don't know what's going on. But somebody also brought up another case is that Geoff Keighley is now competing directly with E3.
Yeah,
and he's trying to make obviously the Game Awards to be that go-to show, because now not only are they handing out Game of the Year awards and stuff like that, they are breaking news and reveals and stuff like that. I mean, what do we watch E3 for like brand new gameplay, new trailers, announcements and stuff like that? And obviously this year we got the announcements,
right?
So and he's getting the views.
Yeah.
So you know what?
Go ahead. My bad.
Kid might be onto something.
No, Kid is definitely onto something.
It might not even be like a protest. Him specifically, it might not even be a protest. It's like, look at the. I think, especially what they said, the video game awards was almost tripled this year.
Man.
Then look at that panel.
Brand unto himself.
He's a brand.
So it might be one of those things. It's like, look, like I don't want I need to separate my brand from your brand. Like, so it really might be that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and we all know
he has too much reach.
Yeah, we all know who's on that panel. He's got the who's who of the industry on the Game Awards panel that remember everybody was all mad
in all
about.
sense, his organization's probably bigger than E3. So
It's interesting.
not his events, his organization.
Shout out to
because I would say his organization.
Hold on. What is this?
Andrew Wilkins with the $5 super chat. People donate to Smooth to help him pay his lost bet to Bond. Sony showed an 8K 120 FPS game 2 CESs ago. Xbox fans stay losing games. Bets to PlayStation or PC fans. Kid, they coming for you for some reason I know not of. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, like I said, that CES stuff. No. I said Xbox. I said Xbox will ship out of the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. The Xbox will be the first one to ship a game that is 120 frames per second. That's not VR, no bull crap.
Oh,
like that.
So that's what it was. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. So it has to be a standalone game, and I'm sticking by that. They're gonna have the first games to do it.
That's a sucker bet. Who took that?
Bond.
Oh man.
Well, it doesn't matter because Kid forfeited all out of all the bets.
I've heard of it, yeah, because I'm a change.
And
man.
you could have won that. You could have won some of them.
Wait.
I'm a change man.
What are you talking about? You're a change man. You stop eating meat? What's going on?
I mean, I'm not going to be participating in these like
these bets.
Like,
Kid, I got a bet for you.
And the thing is, it wasn't that I quit that bet. It was several. I had made 8 bets or something like that.
What's your question? If that's your brand, if that's your joint, that's your brand. These wild bets, the crazy raging and stuff like that. Am I gonna continue to get the crazy raging Smooth, or is this a new vegan non-beef?
No.
The
the raging in the streams and stuff. That's different. I'm talking about if for example, you be like, oh, I bet you that PS5 is gonna be $500 or something like that.
And yes, Kid will take these bets.
That's not the bet I'm gonna take anymore.
Kid, just out of curiosity.
A challenge. I wouldn't say it's a challenge.
Oh, so you just still in challenge mode? You just bet mode. All right. So you turned into Sony in the bet pocket situation, but in challenge mode, you will not go meet. You'll be Xbox.
I got a simple question for you, Kid. You know, just off the top of your head, how much money you think you've lost on bets since you've been on YouTube?
Enough. I mean, I remember.
He said enough.
Think about it.
Is it north of $500?
No, listen. First
Dude,
of all,
remember I sent Bond a Switch. I sent Hardy an Xbox.
Shout out to Kid Smooth being the husband and the father that he is for not putting out that financial to get him hurt. Listen, stop it now.
Stop
Leave
it.
that man alone.
Leave him
he
alone.
Lost whatever bet
That's
he lost,
it.
and it was
It's over.
minuscule financially to him.
We gotta
He's
get
not
out of
doing
here.
it anymore. He's a loving husband, and he takes care of his children. Let's
We
move
gotta
on
go.
from this.
And he's a newly acquired vegan.
That's right. We gotta go. No more beef. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Like I said, if it goes King's way, where more content creators are media, we shall see. And as far as E3 and ESA and what the new direction is, we do know media has its own day now. On the 9th.
Thank you, ESA.
Yeah. I think stuff
appreciate
like that is how they're gonna get these media people out their back. Because at the end of the day, having stuff leaked, I'm sure annoyed a lot of them, and especially some of the more extra media was really stressed. But I think the biggest majority of their issues is the fact that they let in the public.
Yeah, and that kind of started the thing. We do agree. So look, we got this poll.
If they would have just did the leak without the letting in public, I guarantee you the majority of these people wouldn't be saying much.
And they handled it bad because remember the public was stepping on top of the media. Media didn't have enough time. They had 1 hour. It was a mess, and they didn't integrate the public part properly, and that's where things kind of just went down.
Hire me for security. I will definitely make sure that those leaks
give him that badge to go anywhere.
And we will definitely have new media inside the building. Listen, man. EA, ESA, we can do this together.
Yes.
E3 2020.
Yes, we have the number one provocateur with us on the round table. So salute to King for making his sales pitch. So we got this poll. We got to get out of here, man. Long show. With the potential manufacturing cost of the PS5 at $450 minus packaging, shipping, and retail. What do you think is the best price point for Sony if the Xbox Series X is $500? The choices are A, PS5 should drop to $400 to undercut the Xbox Series X and take a loss on hardware. B, PlayStation 5 should profit at $500. They are still the bigger global brand and market leader. Or C, I don't care about no hardware because it's all about active users now, though. Salute to everybody who came through in the IOP poll. Please rock it when it goes up. Yo, salute to Jason Schrier that came through. Woo! One of the biggest IOP guests in the building. Portia Powell, my man Ainsley comes in, but he's late when the show was ending. Damn it, you must have been at the hockey rink. But yeah, salute to Jason Schrier, man. Outstanding show. Like I said, if you guys missed it, please catch the replay. It'll go up. Timestamps and all that good stuff will go up. And of course, Lord Kid Smooth pulling up on that Xbox topic. Salute, Smooth. What you got going on? I heard Pet Xbox is back, right? What's going on, right? What's happening out here? What we doing?
Yeah, we back every Wednesday night at like 8:30ish. You know, I appreciate like had to bring it back. You know, trying to get back on my grind. You guys have been out here hustling.
Thank you, brother.
No, yeah, nothing major going on. We do the podcast every Wednesday. I will be at PAX East, so I plan.
Salute! We gonna see Kid. I heard it. Yeah, that's a weapon wheel up in there. That's what's up. Oh, it's gonna be lit, man. So salute to that.
That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to super chat this. Like, yo, King sent some Iron Lord shirts for my PAX East trip. I need to be represented.
Yeah, we gotta get Kid.
What size you at? What size you at?
I'm like medium. Like,
I check and see if I got you. Hold on, time out 1 second. 1 second. Where we at with this? Hold on. The red joint. Your joint might be saying E3. What is it? E3. Just keep your sleeve covered.
Is it? E3 2018. He gonna get that one.
Keep your sleeve covered. But we definitely got you covered going in the door.
No doubt, yo. Salute. It's gonna be a lot of people. We got Bad Bit up in there. I heard BG might be pulling up too, right?
Yeah,
3MG, BG. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be lit. Bad Bit's gonna be up in there. My boy Gene is in there. The whole log net is coming through. You know what I'm saying? Petey, Snaldo, King, Hyde. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's gonna be lit. Hector is gonna be there. We gonna have Bob Dunn. Bro, it's gonna be lit, man. So look out for the coverage.
You see that ESA? Come on, man.
King making that ESA push with Lords of Gaming down there. I feel that, man. But yeah, it's gonna be lit, man. Salute. So yeah, man, Lord Addict, man. Let's get up out of here. What you got going on? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Lord Addict IOP. You can also find me on YouTube at Gaming Addicts. That's where the uncensored addict is. But you know, actually, this podcast has rubbed off on my YouTube channel. I don't really cuss on there as much as I used to.
Nice.
You know, definitely want to thank Jason Schrier for coming on. I ain't thanking Kid. He kind of bullied himself on here. But, you know, definitely want to thank the chat. The chat was lit today. Even you guys give us so much support weekly, and I have to really, really appreciate. Thank you guys for that.
Absolutely, chat was outstanding. Lord Sovereign pulling up, man. Always a pleasure. What you got going on, man?
Nothing. Work.
You about to go to work.
I got nothing but a big shout out to Smooth for coming through, and of course Jason Schrier. I'm particularly happy that we got Jason on the show.
Facts.
At this point in the lifetime of our show.
Yeah.
Because we as a podcast have grown a lot too. Like when you talk about, when we make comments about stuff, we make jokes or whatever, but oftentimes, and I think we've always tried to be fair, right?
Yeah.
But again, that fairness only extends as far as your understanding of what you're talking about, right?
Facts.
And I think our understanding of gaming and the things that happen around gaming.
Kind of like how you don't understand Control, right? No.
Stop.
I understand Control. I don't know about you.
Or Gears. Let's not stop. We're not doing that. Continue, kid. Continue.
I understand that Gears is trash.
Oh my God.
But again, like, so to have Jason on now and have that perspective, I think we've gotten to the point we really respect a lot that he does.
Yes.
And one thing that I really recognize is, guys, as gamers, like if you're so passionate about this thing, in my feeling, you have to be passionate about every aspect about it. You want to have to know about everything. You know what I mean? Like, we love these games, and sometimes we're like, we want, and we're not paying attention to the real human cost of we want. And
Yes.
you know, the work that Jason does, the work that these guys do at Kotaku and other outlets as well is very important. We need to really be cognizant of the stuff that is happening around our favorite hobby. We do. So that's it.
No, that's love, man. I mean, I'm glad you said it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's so much that we don't know behind the scenes. You know, as people who love this hobby and this passion, and it's good to get that information. And salute to Jason. We brought the smoke, and he ain't run from it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of
He's about that. He's about that.
like we gotta respect it, because again, the Lords are gonna be the Lords. King was still king. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was out there. So salute to King. Let's get him up there next. Like what you got going on. Salute to you for still getting your provocateur on. You ain't changed up. You was in your bag. I was like, yo, let me see how King gonna handle this, because this gonna be fun. And it was good to see. I was worried for a second it could go left, because I know King ain't gonna back down.
I was like, King,
Yeah.
is King gonna be, you know, quiet King today?
Yeah,
No. Listen, shout out to Jason Schrier, my kindred spirit. After doing a lot of research, like I saw the Yang Yang video and stuff like that, and a lot of people I don't go and watch per se, but I was doing the research on him because I wanted to know about him a little bit more.
Yes.
Right. And in knowing him a little bit more, I understood that stuff that he was saying he wasn't wrong with, and I agreed with 100%. You know, so as far as people feeling a certain way about saying a provocateur, you are like, and don't take it in a negative sense. If somebody is classically trained in a genre, in an avenue, and you invade their space and you're not equally as trained, or you didn't do it, that's hard work. I mean, blood, sweat, and tears account for something, right?
Right.
I mean, so he should have felt the way, or he should feel a certain way in certain things. And I agree that, and I applaud to that, because listen, I just decided to do this as, you know, hanging out with my family, my friends and family. He decided to do this when he was in school, and he paid his dues. So at what point in time is that worth? So he is a journalist. I am a provocateur. And this is the truth. All right, this is the truth, and this is a fact. But before we get started, turn the beat around.
Oh yeah.
Check out that chief right there. Yo,
woo!
That joint. If you have not seen the video, please go check out KOS at lordsofgaming.net.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, I've waited so long for this statue. Shout out to Season Gaming. Bert is my guy. He looked out for me. He sent me a great quote, and we worked it out. And I sent him the money ASAP, you know, to get this statue here, because he knew it was going to be in a loving home. Bert, if you're watching, I hope you see the little shrine here. Now, when I finish it, I'm gonna send you the pictures, because I'm definitely gonna put something together for it. Very nice, like I'm doing Thanos over there. I got another Thanos piece coming in.
Brap says $2 preach King. Salute. Continue.
Thank you so much. Another $1,000 piece. Somebody told me to get on their level in my Twitter the other day, and I had to laugh at the young man because I appreciated him. I said, you know, I appreciate you because you may not know who the hell I am. And you know, I mean, do you see this?
Oh, man, we gotta stun on him like this. King, we gotta do him like this.
I got to stun on him because he said he had a car, and I'm winning your car on my wrist.
Oh,
but I'm just gonna say this, right? I'm just gonna say this.
Jesus.
Equally, in every accomplishment in your life, you're supposed to respect your accomplishments, but don't diminish others. Right? And you're supposed to be happy in your accomplishment and don't envy anyone else's. Nothing in here was given to me. I work very hard for everything here. Like you work very hard for your stuff. So when I say king of statues, that's not me. That's you. You, whatever you have, your collection, you are the king of your collection. Be proud of your collection, no matter how small or no matter how large. Because if you think this is a lot of stuff here, I see people in my statue community that blow me away, that makes millions of dollars a year. I do not make millions of dollars a year. Okay, so for me to look at them and admire them, and they encourage me and inspire me, I hope I'm inspiring you. I'm not doing anything to put you down, because I understand that you work hard for every buck, and I'm fighting for you. So when I yell out Game Pass, yes, I'm saving money. Please get Game Pass too and save cash.
That's what's up, man. Salute to King on that. I was late, and like I said, the interactions to Jason was classic. I mean, salute to Jason again for coming through, not running from any question, any topic. We even hit media bias. It was smoking on that. And yeah, shout out to that, man. Shout out to the chat. Y'all was fantastic. Of course, please support lordsofgaming.net. PAX East is coming soon. Maybe
With
2 more
media.
weeks. Yes. We in the building, you know what I'm saying? So yeah,
that
yes.
ESA?
Yes. Yo, you stupid. Salute to the media team that will be at PAX soon. We got one more week. We'll figure out what we're going to do with that. But look, man, everybody, please enjoy your Sunday. This is a fantastic episode. A salute for everybody to pulling up. It really means a lot to us. Salute to Jason. Everybody, enjoy your Sunday. We are out of here.